Good morning and welcome to the January 6th, 2026 board meeting. It is our first meeting of the year, so Happy New Year to everybody here. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year's, and we will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Cox.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item A, County Matters. Clerk of the Board, pursuant to the county's government manual, confirm the seating of District 4 Supervisor Heidi Harris as chairman and District 5 Supervisor Julia Brownfield as chair pro temp or vice chair. Can we take a call?
Do you believe we need a motion?
Can we take a call on that?
I'll move approval.
A second?
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Leutwiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye.
It wasn't on the docs on that, so.
No public comment? You don't really want to hear any.
Right. There we go.
Ready, ma'am?
Do the shuffle. I am. Gonna take a second. Got my life over here. Well, in the settling time, congratulations to both of you. We kind of kind of just go through the motions here, but
Right.
it's like a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I have one more thing.
Did you already switch those out?
Look at all this. I think that's what I'm saying about.
We'll get the rest of your stuff later.
Yeah, we can get that at break.
Okay.
Probably have to take one to get this stuff over.
Thank you. Welcome. We now move on to item B1 with the clerk of the board. We will present the outgoing chairman of the board, Supervisor Liam Gogan, with this engraved gavel.
I don't think so. You just have to-
I just want to say that I have had the opportunity to serve along Supervisor Gogan now for 3 years, and we have attended multiple meetings, mostly with our service on the NCRP, and I just want to say thank you for your service and also your representation and your due diligence on the TMC and your constant eye on our river and all things that are, water within our county. I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate that you tease a lot and make things lighter sometimes when things can be stressful. So I'm grateful for that. So on behalf of Trinity County, we present Supervisor Liam Gogan with his ceremonial gavel, and we will take a picture. All right, let's go take pictures.
Oh, you're kidding. We'll come and get the rest of the stuff later. What is this?
That's for you to put that in there, so it's tiny, if I know. At this time on the agenda, it was scheduled that the Board of Supervisors would receive a representative from Congressman Doug LaMalfa's office to present Trinity Alps Unified School District retired Superintendent Jamie Green a proclamation of recognition in his efforts to reauthorize the secure rural schools. It is with great sadness and regret that we state that this item will not be heard today due to the death of Congressman Doug LaMalfa. He passed away last night. And with that, Supervisor Cox will bring forward information.
So Brenda Haynes, his Northern California field rep, was to be here today. I spoke with her this morning, and she had just heard the news about 30 minutes earlier. So it's really, really tough on the staff, and our hearts go out to the family at this time. She said that they had prepared a beautiful resolution for Jamie. Sorry. One she was very proud of and pleased to present, one that Doug himself had signed. So obviously that can't happen today, but she is desiring to find the appropriate space to present that in days to come. So we are grateful for Jamie's work and for his interaction with the congressman, for Cherie and others who made multiple trips along with Jamie, and that we are now enjoying the fruit of their labor. And that's what we want to celebrate today, even in the face of this unexpected loss. With that also, Chair, I would make a suggestion to see if there would be consensus from the board that we direct staff to create a letter that we might send to staff and family from our board with our sympathies and our appreciation.
I would concur with that. Supervisor Gogan?
Yep.
Thank you for that, Supervisor Cox, and we will work together on the language and make sure that we really gather together our extreme gratitude for his efforts for the secure rural schools and the other things that he has been beside us on. Next, item B3, we will have the Rural County Representatives of California, also recognized as RCRC, President and CEO Patrick Blacklock, to present the RCRC 2025 President's Award to the Trinity Alps Unified School District retired Superintendent Jamie Green, recognizing his efforts in the reauthorization of the secure rural schools. And in his stead, we have Ms. Cherie Baines. Thank you for coming as Jamie's representative. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members, for having me here today. And if I could take a moment of personal privilege, one of the things that really stands out for me with Congressman LaMalfa was the warm reception he always provided us whenever we were in DC. Oftentimes when you go lobby and advocate in DC, you'll end up in a hallway meeting with staff. That was never the case with Congressman LaMalfa. He seemed excited to see us every single time, no matter the hour, no matter how many meetings he'd had. He would bring us back into his office. And I can remember at least one occasion where we had to remind him that he had another meeting to get to and he needed to wrap up with us because he seemed to so much enjoy having his constituents there and talking directly with folks. And one of those topics that we often were talking about over the last couple of years has been secure rural schools, which brings us to the item today. And the RCRC President's Award is something that we give annually to a member of the county family. Often it is an unsung hero, someone who you wouldn't necessarily read about in the headlines, but who has done quite a bit of work to do something that has benefited our member communities. And our 2025 recipient, retired Superintendent Green, is certainly an outstanding example of someone who has done just that. I personally first began hearing Superintendent Green's name actually in DC when back lobbying on secure rural schools issues. You'd walk into a congressional office and you would get this response along the lines of, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. Superintendent Green was just here from Trinity County briefing us on that and talking about it. And he did a great job in setting a foundation for us and others who then came afterwards to lobby and advocate on the issue. But frankly, it's one thing to go back there once or twice a year and get a positive response. It's quite another to have the dogged persistence to get something across the finish line. And that's exactly what I understand that Superintendent Green did. And it was really his strategic approach, which included getting children together and FFA students and having them become part of the advocacy that helped get this across the finish line. There were a lot of folks that were involved in the advocacy, and they say that many hands make light work, but I can assure you there was nothing light work about SRS and getting it across the finish line. And it simply wouldn't have happened without Superintendent Green's advocacy and his leadership in developing an advocacy campaign. So on behalf of California's rural counties, I want to say thank you to Superintendent Green, and thank you for sharing that with him. And we'll certainly get him the actual award, which will be suitable for his mantle or bookcase by mail here, so that he'll have that. But that's what I wanted to convey today and say thank you for providing us this forum to share that and to share our appreciation and gratitude for his work through the President's Award. So with that, I'll conclude my remarks, and I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to say.
Would you like to say anything on behalf of Jimmy?
Come on, Sheree.
That's a tall task.
It is.
I know he would want to say thank you. He loves kids. He loves where he lives. He loves the school district. He loves rural America. And to advocate for on behalf of everyone was, I know, an honor for him. He's not stopping. This is a little hiccup in what he's doing. He'll get his medical things figured out. And then I know the school board still wants him to be a huge proponent of the things that he finds passionate, which is secure rural schools and actually IDEA, which is disabilities. Students with disabilities getting full funding for that from the federal government. So those are the two things that we will continue to fight for. And I know you would say, again, thank you for the honor. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And we'll go, do you have a plaque with you or?
Oh, no, we'll be on that too.
Okay, all right, thank you. Does the board have any commentary? Or should we, are we taking a photo?
Get a picture.
Are we getting a picture?
I think we should.
I think. Come on up, Sheree. Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a bite. Not today. Otherwise. Now we'll hear item B4, receive a presentation from Roll County Representative of California, President and CEO Patrick Blacklock regarding the RCRC strategic plan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for allowing me to do both presentations while here today. Make it
Yes.
efficient. Appreciate that. I think there's a PowerPoint that you may be pulling up, but while I do that, one of the things I wanted to say, for those not familiar with RCRC, we're the Rural County Representatives of California. We're a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation made up of 40 rural California counties, governed by a county supervisor from each of the counties. And we do two things: advocacy, which we do both in Sacramento and DC on behalf of rural counties. And secondly, we serve as an innovative service provider. Think of us as the entrepreneurial arm of rural counties. When there's a challenge too big for a county to address on their own, they come to us to see if we can get economies of scale. And over the years, we've formed new private and public agencies to do that. I want to go straight to the second slide. One of the things I wanted to invite also along the way is questions and feedback. Stop me anywhere. Part of what makes this valuable for us is to hear what's on your mind, so I can take that back to the team back in the office at RCRC. So please do stop me anyway. And today I'll talk a little bit about what you see on the screen, which is not only what we do at RCRC, but some of our affiliate entities. And oh, thank you.
A little glitch at first. Let me give it a jump start.
Got it. If you want to go to the next slide. So as I talk through today, on this slide are some of the topics that are in our strategic plan. Hopefully none of these come as a surprise to you. Broadband, rural health, forest resiliency are amongst the topics. And then, as I mentioned, the board has set sort of that dual vision for us that you see on the right there. But I want to jump right into, maybe go there. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I want to jump right into some of the topics that we're working on this year. And along the top, you'll see on the state policy and federal areas, again, I think topics that don't come as a surprise to you, but I wanted to go to the box labeled key topics, because that's really where some of our special focus areas are this year. And one of the things our board does is to form ad hoc committees to address topics that are very timely for them. We have a recruitment and retention of employees ad hoc. They've had a couple of meetings this year. Some of our counties have up to 100% vacancy rates in some of their classifications: behavioral health therapists, deputy sheriffs, prosecutors. The list goes on and where there are some high vacancy rates. So we're looking at that to see if there are some not only policy changes that could be made, but are there things we could do at RCRC to assist? And there's one that I'll talk a little bit about later. We have a predator management ad hoc that has come out of growing concern around the wolf population, but also in other areas of the state, the bear and mountain lion populations. And so that ad hoc committee began meeting in late fall, and they're already working on some legislative ideas that we could bring forward on a hopefully a relatively swift basis to address some of those issues. The third is state mandate reimbursements. This is an ongoing topic, but one of the things that we haven't done as good a job in county land as we need to is filing test claims. In order to, many of these mandates are actually reimbursable by the state, but to get them to where they're approved for reimbursement, counties actually have to file a test claim and have it approved by the mandate commission. Many years ago, at the start of my career, we were doing that routinely, but then the individual coordinating that retired, and it sort of fell off over the last 15 plus years. And so we've been working with some of our big county colleagues, namely Santa Clara and Los Angeles, amongst others, to begin filing claims. And in RCRC, we've actually contracted with a consultant to do that work on behalf of some of our smaller counties. And so we've been working across our small counties to see when they can assist in helping us file a test claim. Recently, we worked with Sutter County and Santa Clara County and the city of Sacramento to jointly file some test claims, and we have more in the queue. Our ask is that we do need counties to assist by providing us the underlying data in terms of costs. We'll then compile that and submit the claim, but we need help getting there. And so I've been working with the CEOs Association to get that word out and hopefully get counties willing to assist. We'll do the work, like I said, of getting it filed, and we've already paid for the consultant on that front because we know that it's important to do that. Two others that I'll mention. One is a jail medical services study. As you likely know, many of the counties in California contract with a single provider to provide jail medical services. That provider went through a bankruptcy proceeding over the course of the last year and is coming out of it now, but we're seeing, at least for many of the counties that are going through renewals, a pretty significant cost increase. You combine that with growing pressures around litigation, and it's been a challenging environment for counties. And so we've been working with regional groupings of counties, including Trinity, to look at, could we evaluate what are the array of options out there and how might we not only encourage more competition on the private side, but look at what are the public options as well. And we're actually having a series of meetings this week with those regional coalitions of counties to see if they want to proceed to the next step. It's a pretty pricey analysis, so we'll see whether it proceeds or not. But the good news is those costs get shared because it's doing it regionally. And really our role in this is just to facilitate some of those regional discussions and to do some of the administrative work behind the scenes so it's not a heavy lift for the counties. And lastly, I'll mention sort of a sleeper of an issue that we're pretty concerned about, and that is with the changes coming to Medi-Cal, it means that those individuals who don't qualify for Medi-Cal are likely going to come back to the county. Counties under Welfare and Institution Code Section 17,000 serve as the provider of last resort when it comes to health care for the indigent population. And up until the Affordable Care Act, 35 of our 40 counties did so through a program called the County Medical Services Program, or CMSP. Essentially, it was a health insurer for the indigent population. And CMSP received direct funding from the state on behalf of those primarily smaller rural counties to do that. With the Affordable Care Act, the state stripped that funding. The mandate remains. Welfare and Institution Code Section 17,000 didn't change. So that means when an indigent individual goes to the hospital and they're not in Medi-Cal, it's the county's responsibility to pay for it. But the funding was stripped, and that funding has gone 100 different ways since then. So it's not like it can be easily replaced. So we're working with a coalition of counties to, one, raise awareness, because if you weren't active in county land prior to 2013, you likely don't have familiarity with it. And I can tell you at the legislature, there's seemingly almost no awareness of this challenge. So we have our work cut out for us to provide some education to the legislature to say that funding basically needs to be reinstated. And that's going to be a tough advocacy campaign in a difficult year. Just to give you a sense of it, when I was in a non-CMSP county as CAO, it was about 10% of our general fund that was going to pay for the indigent healthcare program, in addition to dedicated realignment funding that was subsequently stripped by the state as well. So it's a pretty potential significant cost. That's why we're putting all hands on deck with the coalition to see if what we can do about raising awareness at the state and then getting those funds reinstated. I'm going to switch off of that advocacy now, but happy again, to, like I say, to stop me anywhere you've got questions, or if you want to come back, that we certainly can. I'm just going to talk briefly about some of our affiliate entities. As I mentioned, we formed a number of public and private entities. One of them, or two of them, one is Golden State Finance Authority, which is a public joint powers agency, and the National Home Buyers Fund, which is a private nonprofit. Basically, they help people buy homes by providing down payment assistance. And you can see on the slide that we're almost 50 individuals have used those programs just in Trinity County alone to buy homes. But the one I wanted to spend a little more time on is our Assist-to-Own program. And this is specifically for county employees. You've had a couple of county employees use this in Trinity County, and basically they can get up to 3.5% down payment assistance at zero cost. And what that means is there's never any payments due, no interest accrues, and it just sits there. The principal only sits there as a second until such time as they sell or they reach 30 years, and never during that time does any interest accrue or are any payments due. And they can actually go up a little bit higher at a little bit of cost, but it's not a well-known program. And so we try to get the word out whenever we can, because it can help you with recruitment and retention to be able to say that you're offering up to 3.5% down payment assistance at no cost and no payments are ever due. Our newest public agency is Golden State Connect Authority. It was formed to help bring high-speed fiber lines to rural communities, and we're just now poised to begin about $285 million in construction. On there, you see we were awarded $185 million by the state, and we completed a successful bond sale in December for an additional $100 million with private investors. So that'll bring it to about $285 million that we'll be doing. We had filed an application for Trinity County. We weren't awarded for Trinity County, but the goal here, as you'll see, those projects that are awarded, is that's the foundation for the system. And once the system's in place, then system revenues can be reinvested to expand out to communities like Trinity. And also we'll keep our eye out for other funding opportunities as we go along, but hopefully we'll get our feet on the ground and begin success. It's going to be a publicly owned open access system. So think of it like an airport where the public agency builds the airport, private airlines use it. We'll do the same with the fiber system. We'll put it in, it will be publicly owned, but private ISPs will be there so that you as a consumer can choose amongst, say, half a dozen different internet service providers what works best for you, so you have options and competition. The next one I've talked about previously when I've been here is Golden State Natural Resources. This is a 501c3 nonprofit we formed to help expand the pace and scale of forest resiliency projects. Really, we have two focus areas. One is we're helping the Forest Service get more projects to the approval phase. We just completed getting a 31,000 acre project in the Modoc National Forest to the record decision mark. The second is to de-risk the biomass supply side so that we can encourage private investment and use of biomass in California. So really what we're doing there is, one, we're working to get the logistics in place. We own two sites in California, one in Lassen County and one in Tuolumne County, where we would aggregate wood chips and then be able to ship them out by rail. We're just about through the environmental review process for that. The second piece of that is that we're working with the Forest Service on a long-term agreement so that if an investor comes in and wants to build a facility in California to use biomass, they can have assurance that there'll be 20 years of supply available to them. And that's what they call bankable feedstock, which is to say a private investor can't get bank financing if they can't provide assurances that they're going to have the supply over a longer term. So we've been working with the Forest Service both in DC and out of the, say, new regional office out of Portland to work on that and having positive discussions. So that is going well. We're not to the finish line yet, but at least the discussions are headed in a positive direction. And just two more to briefly address. One is our Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority. Trinity County is part of this, and it basically helps our smaller counties with waste management regulatory compliance by, again, getting the economies of scale of having everybody in the room at the same time and using one consultant for some of that work. And then lastly, I wanted to mention our Rural Advancement Institute. It's a 501c3 that does education and research. Education has been bringing primarily urban legislators and their staff to rural communities to familiarize them with rural issues. And the second has been partnering with academic institutions to do apply research on topics of interest to rural communities. Our most recent is we worked with the UC Santa Barbara Wildfire Resilience Initiative to look at the issue of fire and EMS capacity in our rural counties, primarily our small fire districts, and their ability to sustain themselves in an environment of decreasing volunteerism and increasing call volumes and not enough funding for paid staffing. And so we have that initial report, and I think if you were to go through it, it probably would look pretty familiar to you and not necessarily anything new, but I can assure you that at the legislature, it's almost all new. It's not a topic that's getting discussion. It's not a topic for where there's great awareness. So we use reports like this to help build awareness and as to set a foundation for future advocacy. So with that, I'll conclude, but happy to take any questions or get any feedback you may have.
Any questions or points of interest from the board?
I have a couple, but one is just it's feedback, really not about anything that I've understood came from RCRC, but just as a representative, if you could take it back.
Absolutely.
Every time the broadband stuff comes up, I just get a little irritated because we sat here in this room hearing presentations that these millions and billions of dollars were going to ensure equal access to everyone. And the reality is when you look at those maps, Trinity County got ignored. Other than allowing the access down 299 so that they could dig it up and provide it to everybody else, they basically stopped short. And I get it, but I wish that people would understand, don't say something you're not going to do. So if you can take that message back on our behalf to the people that work on this, it's, I can feel myself getting frustrated again. It's just really, really frustrating. But to counter that, I do want to say, you may be aware that we have such a tight travel budget that we're only allowed to send one representative to each of these functions like RCRC, CSAC, NACO, and so forth. And so I've never been, but I will tell you, Supervisor Cox sings the praises of RCRC constantly and brings back information that makes it clear why she's singing the praises. So just, in honor of that, to make sure you know that our representative to your organization believes strongly in what you're doing, carries that information back to us so we can all benefit from it well. And I just want to thank you for that and make sure you knew how much you appreciate it, even though we don't all show up to show it.
I appreciate that. And both Supervisor Cox and Trent are great emissaries for Trinity County, I can tell you, in terms of you have an outsized voice, if anything, in terms of your influence at RCRC and the work that we do.
Thank you. And I just want to make clear to the public, what Supervisor Lutweiler was expressing in terms of the broadband is not a reflection on a lack of work or poor work quality on the part of RCRC staff at all.
Right.
It is the CPUC
Right.
that we feel our frustration with. And so I just want to make sure that people understand that these folks have worked tirelessly And the disappointing outcomes have been equally disappointing to them as to us. We certainly do celebrate with those that are going to be breaking ground soon and are excited to see those things go forward for others. And if there is a possibility, as you expressed, that sometimes in the course of this, it will take years for those returns to start coming back. But the plan that they have laid out is a really beautiful one where our member counties will really reap the benefits of the hard work that's been done. And so potentially we can see something there and maybe in other opportunities as well. But your work has been enormous and so appreciated.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
I want to thank you for your work on biomass. I think it's a wonderful fit for Trinity County, and I'm looking forward to where you go with that. Going back to the SRS funds, it directly affects our part of the country. So I just thank you again for all the work. you guys
Absolutely, and thank you.
are doing.
I'm curious, when you set up for the Rural Advancement Institute, do those tours take place in specific regions, or do you bring people out onto the landscape or around to counties so that they get a hands-on understanding of the way life is? Is that what happens?
That is the goal. The tour has, where the site is chosen where we think we can entice participation.
Okay.
So for example, the first year we went to Mariposa County because we
Okay,
could go through
yeah.
Yosemite and that helped entice people. Last year, we timed it with a legislative event that was happening in Monterey County, but we did it in the ag area and the rural areas of Monterey County. This year, we're working on potential sites.
Mhm.
One option we are looking at is in the North State. We have representation on the RI board from the Piscata Band of Nomalaki Indians,
Mhm.
and they've offered to help host a site so we could perhaps see Sites Reservoir and a few things like that if we were to get folks. And again, it's within a distance where we're likely to get participation. So there's an art to getting good participation, and that often drives location, but the goal is exactly what you stated, which is to get folks out into rural communities so they can hear directly and see directly the rural impacts. If you were to look at the legislature, it's basically the inverse of our membership, whereas that is to say 2/3 come from the Bay Area, Los Angeles, San Diego, and it's a small percentage coming from the rural areas. So we have a work cut out for us to raise awareness, education, et cetera.
Well, I just commend that work because I've had the opportunity to do that with in the state of California with federal employees. We bring them in through a program through California Ag Leadership called the
Oh,
DC Exchange.
right.
And we have had tremendous success in just opening people's eyes, giving them tangible evidence, and just walking them through. So those programs do work and they do make a difference. And if you ever want to come to Trinity County, I'm sure all of us would find something fantastic and we will feed them well.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So thank you for your time and for your drive. I
You bet.
appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Be careful.
We'll now move to item B5, receive an update from the U.S. Forest Service representative regarding matters of interest to Trinity County.
Good morning. It's nice to be back with all of you again. I'll go ahead and introduce myself because it has been a minute. I'm Tara Jones. I'm the district ranger here on the west side of the Shasta Trinity, which includes Hayfork, Yolabola, Weaverville, and Big Bar Ranger districts. Wanted to kind of pile on Jamie Green. You know, the word champion is the one that comes to mind because Jamie Green, I was fortunate and unfortunately, I had to coach against him in basketball. So I've seen him as a champion in that realm. And as he became the superintendent, I've seen him champion for his students, for Trinity County. And where our lives intersected again is as he championed to get his students and your community residents tied back into their national forests. And just really enjoy working with Jamie. So wanted to add on my congratulations to him. Okay. Planning. Planning efforts on the Big Ranch Community Risk Reduction Project are continuing. We expect to have that signed by the end of June. If you're not familiar with the Big Ranch project, it runs from Big Bar over to Burnt Ranch and along some of those major routes, and includes fuel management zones, forest resilience, and restoration of some of the old fire scars within that footprint. The North Trinity County Community Risk Reduction Project is also continuing. Planning is ongoing. South Fork Mountain is under analysis. The Six Rivers is taking the lead for that, but it includes parts of the Shasta Trinity and the Six Rivers National Forest. That's also underway and progressing nicely. I believe a decision is expected around March. The Watershed Center is taking on some third-party NEPA for us and making good progress on the Junction City project, which has fuels reduction and a fuel break, as well as some plantation maintenance. So we're working on that, and that document, the scoping document should be out soon. We have hosted a field trip with Fish and Wildlife Service to Junction City, as well as National Marine Fisheries Service. Also have had, for Big Ranch, have had the Fish and Wildlife Service out to the Big Ranch project 4 times last year. So we're working really closely with them to make sure we could get those prescriptions dialed in and get things done appropriately. Efforts are moving forward on the Weaverville Community Forest Fuel Break with the RCD. So the RCD is learning to do NEPA this year, and we'll be doing some NEPA to put in a fuel break around Weaverville. The WCF, so the Weaverville Community Forest, we have a phase 2 of a fuels NEPA that we should get signed later this winter. So we're looking forward to freeing up some more acres to be treated in the Weaverville Basin. The Trinity Divide fuel break is in the planning stage with Sierra Pacific Industries as a partner. They went out and secured funding, and they're taking the lead on that planning. And similarly, Trinity River Lumber secured funding and is taking the lead on fuels treatments and forest health stuff out by Wildwood. So looking forward to that as well. Altogether, those projects represent about 75,000 acres. So it's nice to be up here talking about acres planned to be treated, and we're not talking about fire. Fuels. Prescribed fire has been underway in Ridgeville, Lake Forest Estates, Petty John, the Deep Fire area, as well as the Kellogg fuel break and August Fire footprint. 825 acres have been burned to date. 1,200 acres of treatment have been implemented in the High and Palm project. Good feedback from the residents there. 1,800 acres fuels reduction were implemented over the last couple of years in the August Fire footprint. These are service acres that are non-commercial, and we've just been doing a lot of fuels cleanup out there as well. Manual fuels work is underway in the Bowerman project up north. I apologize if you don't know where these projects is, please ask. I probably should. So Bowerman, as you know, I think you all know where the projects are that are in your footprint, but please ask if you have any questions. SPI, the SPI portion of the Bowerman fuel break has been completed. So it's a good visual representation of what we're trying to do with some of our fuel breaks. Underburn prep is underway in the High and Palm Community Risk Reduction Project, and the burn plan is under development. Fuels work is underway in the Emergency Authority area in the Peak North Trinity area as well. So that's the Rainier Long Canyon area. Timber. Lemonade Springs is being repackaged and will be sold later this year. That's out in the West Side Plantation, South Fork Mountain area, some of those plantations up there. Harvest in the Hayward Campground is complete, and the Forest Service is getting ready to go in and do some more of the cleanup work. So instead of having a great big burn pile there, we're going to pull out some of the cull logs and haul those out to a location where the community can have access to it for firewood. So we're taking a little bit more of a hands-on approach to fuels in the campground. Let's see, 2 timber sales, Rainier and Long Canyon, were offered and sold under the emergency authority that we were granted by the Chief of the Forest Service. These timber sales are part of the treatments identified in the North Trinity Community Risk Reduction Area, and the use of this authority is currently being litigated, which I'm sure you're all aware. The Bowerman timber sale is expected to be offered next quarter. So that's for the rest of Bowerman, the stuff along Highway 3 that you see marked there. That will go up for bid later this month. The pre-ad is out now. Special uses, we're working with houseboat owners to keep the program up to date and permits current, as well as working with outfitter and guide groups. And we continue to get requests from PG&E and Caltrans for special use permits as well, as we address hazard trees and road realignments. Recreation, the Forest Service did get the Minersville boat ramp plans back, which included recommendations for adjustment. The Forest Service and the BOR and the contractor have scheduled a meeting to review the recommendations and options. So we, after integrating the requests that we had from the public, we ran into some cost issues. So the groups from all of those entities are going to get together and work through that. So that's where that's at. Let's see. Extensive work has been undertaken at Westside Campgrounds. A large and focused team has been hard at work falling dead trees in campgrounds. This is As you've seen, the forest health issues we have across Trinity County, those impact our campgrounds, and it takes a lot of man hours and work to get out and mitigate those hazard trees in the campground. So we've been focused on that as well and getting those campgrounds cleaned up. The 5-year program of work, Shasta Trinity is currently updating the 5-year program of work for the forest, which the update will include planned activities through FY30. So a year went by, we need to make sure we're factoring in FY30 now. So we're continuing to work through our program of work, reassess it, and add on the following year. Roads, the Dark Canyon culvert has been winterized for the season. The pipe is exposed, has been exposed, and will be ready for work next year. So our folks got out there and did a tremendous amount of work in a very short amount of time to get that ready to be fixed early in the field season. And we have a new agreement with the Trinity County RCD to help facilitate some of our road maintenance and agreements that came with funding. So we're happy to see that funded. And want to really specifically thank Trinity County and their roads department for their help in helping us get one of our roads rocked near Lake Forest Estates. That was previously just a native surfaced road. This will help prevent erosion. It will help with access for emergency equipment to get out into that community. High and Palm Road. I'm aware of some of the issues facing the High and Palm Road, and I want to thank the county for working closely with us to have a preventative plan in place in case something happened this winter. And I understand we'll be needing to meet and come up with more of a long-term solution. So I look forward to meeting with members of the board on that. Really appreciate the collaboration on that. We do anticipate having a High and Palm, getting a timber offering out of High and Palm as well. So we're very interested in making sure we work together for that community and the economics out there as well. Staffing. Wanted to let you know, because I don't think I've been here in a minute, Ben Sundahl has accepted the district ranger job on the Shasta Lake Ranger District. So he's now the ranger over there, which we're really happy for Ben. A little bit sad for us because Ben did a great job for us and will be missed. The forest is working diligently to try to find a way to fill the deputy district ranger job here on the west side. As we know, the amount of acres to cover and the amount of issues that we have and the work that needs to be done it's more than one person can do. So we're looking to get somebody else over here to help us with that. Our fall fire hire has been going well. As you probably noticed, last year we were more staffed than we have been in the past 7 years. We're expecting that trend to continue and hope to be fully staffed, plan to be fully staffed again next year. Wanted to let everyone know there will be an additional hiring event for fire. Fire hiring has continued throughout all of the things going on with budgets and things. Fire hiring has continued throughout, so that hasn't paused. There will be an event, an in-person hiring event in Chico this winter and spring, where folks that are looking to get a fire job can go down there and get tied in with forests where they would like to work and have some face-to-face time. That is it for my update, but I can take some questions if you'd like.
Are there any questions from the board?
No, but I do want to thank you for meeting with me 3 or 4 weeks ago and taking time out of your schedule to do that with me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Supervisor Lutweiler, any questions? Or Supervisor Brownfield?
No, thank you.
Supervisor Cox?
I do have a statement if I could. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in any other board meeting room where a member of our Forest Service did a presentation like this and just make a comparative list of what's getting done on our forest. I feel like we could stack that up against anybody with just a huge hurrah to you and to Supervisor Berkey, all those who work in collaboration. The plan that you set in place, what's it been, 3 years ago now, when that map first got drawn with the idea of 5 huge projects and all the kind of, I look at them like big cells and little intercellular space where we are going to accomplish the work that's needed here. And I'm just so grateful for your tenacity through all of the ups and downs that have been handed. I do want to express tremendous remorse over the litigation that you're having to face right now when this board adopted by resolution a collaborative agreement as to what treatment plans would look like. And when we follow those, even though under an emergency to protect our communities, I'm just sorry that you're having to deal with that right now. And you'll get through it. But Your work is needed. It is tremendous and it is appreciated. So thank you.
I just want to shout out an extra thanks for your work and efforts for the folks in High and Palm, both on, I think it's Route 10 and then a highly utilized route of coming over Underwood, which I know snow impacts that, but just the maintenance on those two alone to just help those people have, the ability to get in and out of their community is greatly appreciated. And I'm hoping that between you guys and the county, we can get some stuff settled there for them. And I also just want to thank you for these projects. You come in and, you read off all of this and it just takes 1 second or 2 seconds to say a sentence about a project. But I just want to take the time to recognize that some of these projects are years in the consistent effort and in the making. So when things like the idea of the Big Ranch project start, it's an idea, and then maps get made and things begin, and then to continue to do the hard lifting that it takes to get these from idea to accomplishment. I just want to recognize that, not just within the Forest Service, but within all of the partnering agencies that our county is so blessed to have. I mean, I joke and say that we're natural resource nerds in this county because who else has science on tap? I mean, I mean, it's like, oh, let's go talk about natural resources. But we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate. And it is something that isn't unrecognized. Because when I go to NACO, they say, oh, yeah, no, we know about Trinity County when you're in the public lands meetings and things. So the work that's being done is being recognized. And I'm really grateful to have so much action happening in our forests. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. And it's an honor to get to try to manage the public lands on the public's behalf. And I will say, having grown up in Bernie, we're different here in Northern California. The forest is part of our lives. That's where we fish. That's where we hunt. That's where we get our firewood. That's where we hike, bike, and recreate. And the amount of dedication and efforts that our partners, the public, and all of you put into the public lands is really making a difference. So thank you.
We will keep going forward in the new
Absolutely.
year.
All right.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
At this moment, I would like to suggest that we take a brief break, returning at 9:55. I need to set up my technology before we get into the meat of the meeting. But thank you, everyone who presented, and we'll take a 5-minute break. We will now return to the order of the Trinity County Board of Supervisors meeting. And at this time, we will move into our public comment opportunities. This time is for the information from the public on matters not appearing on this agenda or within the consent calendar. All comments are limited to 3 minutes and must pertain to matters within the jurisdiction of this board. When addressing the board, please state your name for the record and address the board as a whole through the chair. Please state your name for the record and address the board as a whole through the chair. No action or discussion will be conducted on matters not listed on the agenda. However, the chair may refer to the subject matter for the appropriate department for the follow-up or schedule the matter on a subsequent board agenda. Do we have any public comment in the room?
Morning, Chair, Board, staff. Happy New Year. I just want to say I appreciate you guys' commitment and all the work that you guys do for your constituents. Much appreciated. Okay, closed session is not for making staff appointments. That should be done in open session with public input. The board can use closed sessions to interview and evaluate, not appoint, as that would be a Brown Act violation. Okay, and second, the four of you treat the 4th District Supervisor with disrespect on a regular basis. In my opinion, the way you four act towards Supervisor Brownfield is appalling. And if I acted like you four, I would be ashamed of myself. Okay, I'd like to know how you think your DOT director's decision to kick the can down the road is a good idea by refusing to do general maintenance on any county road that doesn't get RMRA funding. You're going to end up with inaccessible roads that will cost a fortune to repair, especially now that FEMA is refusing to pay for emergency repairs, citing lack of maintenance on the county's part. I feel the DOT's director's actions are going to create a budget problem way worse than it is now. And whoever wrote your 2026 1,500-page budget needs a dose of reality along with your DOT director. Here's one example. How is it that a raise for the tax collector is more important than safe, accessible county roads? If you keep letting these roads go to hell, there will eventually be less taxes to collect. So I have a neighbor on Xenia Lake Mountain Road that's selling. He said the first realtor that came out refused to list for him because he said he didn't want to drive on that road ever again. The second realtor said his place would not sell until the road was addressed. Okay, all access roads in this county are more of a priority than 20% of what's in the 2026 budget. And now that the Secure Rural Schools Act has been reinstated and the county should start getting checks within the next 45 days, you, the board, the CAO, and the DOT director have absolutely no excuse to let these roads go any farther into disrepair. Thank you, guys.
Next public comment in the room.
Good morning. My name is Mark Gearing, and I am a new resident of Weaverville in Trinity County. I'm the new pastor of Mountain Chapel here in town. And I just want to quickly say I've had the opportunity to come to several of these meetings since I've moved here and have really appreciated the Board of Supervisor and the county staff, your obvious care and excellence in serving this county. So I just want to say a sincere thank you. It's been a joy to get to know this county and the people of this county, and we're excited about the future of Trinity County. And the reason I want to share just quickly is concerning a new mental wellness coalition that's been put together between Mountain Communities and Mountain Communities Healthcare District and Mountain Chapel. This is going to be led by Jamie Baudazon. Some of you may be familiar with him. He is a licensed therapist. He has a counseling practice in Reading, but he's mostly a lifelong resident of Trinity County. He graduated from Trinity County as a master's degree in counseling. He's an expert in certified clinical criminal justice. He's a specialist. He's a master addictions counselor in addition to many other areas of education. And he's going to be leading this initiative where we will be presenting for free to residents of Trinity County a series of workshops and groups to help promote mental wellness here in our county and in our city. So our first, we're beginning in January, and we have our dates set from January through June. The first one is called Reaching and Maintaining Emotional Stability in a Chaotic World. That's January 14th. These will be at Mountain Chapel. Again, there's no cost. Following that, we will be having a group called Recovery in Action. This is for anybody that just needs help in dealing with addiction and recovery. Our third group is actually called Fostering Fathers, and it's a group for single fathers to provide support and resources. Matter of fact, all of these are to provide resources for mental health and wellness in our community. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And thank you again for the opportunity to share this with you, this resource.
Thank you.
Are those dates on the handout you gave her?
Yeah, the dates for all of the meetings from now through June, we've planned our first 6 months are all on the handouts for the 3 different groups. And the public is welcome. It's just going to be just to try to bring resources to help the mental wellness of the people of our county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further public comment in the room?
Good morning, Chair, Board, staff. Thank you, Dan Trujillo, Weaverville. So my comment concerns the conduct that occurred during the December 16th, 2025 meeting of the Trinity County Board of Supervisors, and it is therefore within the board's jurisdiction. During that meeting, 5th District Supervisor Brownfield raised concerns about transportation priorities and the conditions of roads in her district, an issue that's been ongoing for years and is within the board's policy oversight. Following that discussion, the board went into a temporary recess in which the Zoom meeting remained live. During that recess, unmuted remarks by the Director of Transportation were captured on the public meeting recording, including statements characterizing a sitting supervisor as, quote, stupid, along with comments suggesting she should be, quote, tortured. These remarks were made while the meeting was still active and are preserved on the official record. So this is not about disagreement over transportation funding or project selection. Reasonable people can and will disagree about those priorities. This is about professional conduct, institutional respect, and public trust. Department heads hold significant authority and are expected to treat all elected supervisors with professionalism and respect, particularly during public meetings. When disparaging remarks about elected officials are captured during a live meeting, it raises legitimate concerns about whether dissenting voices are being engaged in good faith and whether constituents can trust their concerns are being fairly represented within county administration. Public trust depends not only on votes taken, but on how public servants conduct themselves when they believe no one is listening. When these moments become public, they ought to be addressed publicly as well and transparently. So I want to be clear, what I'm asking for is process. And to that end, I've submitted a formal request to the clerk asking that this matter be placed on a future agenda for public discussion, including whether formal censure or policy clarification is appropriate and whether additional guidance is needed to ensure professional conduct during board meetings going forward. Addressing this openly would demonstrate the board's commitment to accountability, mutual respect, and maintaining the public's confidence in Trinity County's governance. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time.
Further public comment in the room?
Good morning, Chair, Supervisors, Lisa Wright, Lewiston. I'm speaking today under this non-agenda comment on matters squarely within this board's jurisdiction, specifically the Brown Act compliance, Public Records Act compliance, and the public process surrounding the county administrative officer recruitment and selection. I want to begin with a simple reminder. The Brown Act does not exist for convenience. It exists to ensure the public can observe how decisions are made, not just the outcomes. First, regarding closed session authority is very narrow. When direction is given to staff, that is an action, and actions must be reported out in open session. Providing documents only after the fact or upon request does not substitute for a lawful report out. Over multiple meetings, closed sessions have been agendized with minimal description, followed by report outs that do not disclose whether action was taken or what direction was given and to whom. That undermines transparency and raises concerns under the Brown Act. Second, regarding the CAO recruitment and selection process. While the Brown Act allows closed sessions to interview or evaluate specific candidates, I'll emphasize specific candidates, it does not allow closed session discussion of recruitment strategy, evaluation criteria, committee structure, or process design. Those are policy decisions and must occur in open session. At this point, applications have been solicited and submitted, yet there has been no agendized open discussion of how these candidates were recruited, reviewed, evaluated, or are going to be selected. If those decisions are being made outside public view, that raises serious Brown Act concerns. Closed session is not a substitute for public governance. Third, regarding public records, I currently have multiple CPRA requests that remain unresolved or only partially responded to. In some cases, the county has stated that no records exist, while county officials have indicated that records do exist. The Public Records Act does not allow an agency to alternate between these positions on the same matter. The CPRA is a disclosure statute. Delays, inconsistent responses, unsupported no record claims erode the public's trust and expose the county to unnecessary enforcement risk. Finally, I want to clarify intent. A cure and correct demand, which I submitted last meeting, is not litigation. These are statutory tools like cure and correct, meet and confer, designed to resolve disputes without court involvement. That's their purpose. Treating them as anticipated litigation misapplies the law and further limits transparency. So I respectfully ask this board once again to ensure that the CAO recruitment selection process decisions occur in open session. There's a process to which you need to be in open session, and then you can go into closed. But it's very clear. Please correct closed session agendizing and report out practices, and bring the CPRA responses into statutory compliance. Public confidence depends not only on outcomes, but on lawful process. We're looking to you for that. Thank you.
Further public comment in the room? Seeing none, any online?
Catherine Sidman.
Good morning, board. Happy New Year. Catherine Sidman, Lewiston. I spend a lot of time worrying about what happens in closed session. I spend a lot of time wondering how things like government surveillance license plate readers get passed on the consent agenda. But today I come to you for what happened in open session, which was the treatment of Supervisor Brownfield at the last meeting. I don't imagine it'll be useful to the people who acted as haughty, bullying in their bullying behavior. I don't imagine it'll be useful to speak to those people. So I will speak to Supervisor Brownfield directly, and that is you have a lot of support. And just as the new board president praised the outgoing board president for his constant eye on the river, we're counting on you to have constant eyes on the road. We're counting on somebody in these chambers, and I'm including staff, to have the best interest of the little people of Trinity County in mind. And the little people live on roads that are not maintained, far, far away from Weaverville. And we're counting on you. We're counting on you, Julia, to speak truth to power, pull every single item on the consent agenda. We have time because everyone on that dais, this is your job. And if you don't have time to review things and have a supervisor gain knowledge from staff in this case, who pulls nearly $250,000 a year in salary and benefits from the Trinity County coffers and has the audacity to laugh and mock a supervisor. It's like we were just introduced to Trinity County's deep state, where they don't care who the supervisor is. They're just going to do what they're doing regardless of the direction that supervisors are calling based on what they're hearing from their constituents. So that was alarming. Almost as alarming, second issue, as the fact that I discovered recently we currently have no 911 dispatch services for fire and medical in Lewiston. Our repeater is on the fritz, and we're hearing that it might be spring. So Lewiston has no cell service. We have limited cell service when the tower is in operation, but the tower is down right now for some kind of construction. So all the spaghetti dinners that bought all of the expensive pagers and radios and trained our fleet of volunteers right now, which is the best it's been in years, is for naught because they're getting text messages for dispatch. So unless they're on their phone within Wi-Fi, looking at their phone, getting a text message, they aren't responding because the pagers and radios aren't working. This is on Rick's radar. I don't know what's being done about it, but I would request that there's an update at every single meeting until this is fixed, because not having 911 dispatch for fire and medical in Lewiston is a travesty. And we should be hearing about it in the newspaper. We should be hearing about it at every meeting until this is fixed. So go, Julia, and get us back our 911, please.
Further public comment?
Adrian Keys.
Good morning, Supervisors. Adrian Keys from Hayfork. I just wanted to thank Supervisor Gogan for his service for District 3 over the past year as chair. He's very appreciated by the community. Everybody down here realizes how the challenges that government generally presents, and Liam has done a really good job standing up for my town, Hayfork, and for the whole of the district. And we're very appreciative. Thank you. I would like to welcome Supervisor Carpenter Harris to the chair. You've been on the soups now for 3 years, coming into year 4. I'm glad to see you with this opportunity. We all know there's a tremendous learning curve. I've never sat up there, but I've surely watched supervisors come into their positions and watch them hone their skills and their knowledge and how much they can improve over the course of a year. Their understanding of process, and how to get jobs done. And Supervisor Carpenter Harris, I'm looking forward to see what you can do in the chair for the whole of the county and for your district over the next year. And primarily, and believe I say this every year, I want us all to do better every year. Every year that I've come to the supervisors, every year that I've presented information or positions from my community or from the cannabis industry, I try and learn from y'all and to follow your examples and to do better myself, to be a more effective player. And I hope the same for all of you. I want to see our supervisors and our staff and our communities working in concert to achieve goals. We generally have the same goals, the same sorts of desired outcomes, but we need to keep that in mind and not let our emotions get ahead of us. And I'm really hoping to see this year that we can really raise up on on that and really do a great job. Because we need to, because our county is in really poor shape and our communities are really struggling, and we really need leadership that presents itself in such a way as to inspire the community and to enhance our communication, to enhance our knowledge of the systems, and not to beat each other up and not to drag each other down. We've all seen it. We've all been through it. We've all probably done it. And I just hope that we can do better in this coming year. And like I said a moment ago, it's because we really need to. Thank you.
Chris.
Hi, Chris Williams of Weaverville. I'm here to talk about, or I'm here on Zoom to talk about transparency, public process, and courtesy. Laws like the Brown Act exist so that the public can understand how decisions are made, not just to hear the final outcome. Closed session is meant to be a narrow exception, not the default. And when it's used carefully and clearly, it protects the public's trust. I would also like to extend this to the public's full access to investigative reports on supervisors. Public records and meeting minutes matter. Written public comments are part of the record, and minutes should accurately reflect them. This accuracy is one of the simplest ways to demonstrate respect for public participation. I, too, have been told after a PRA request that no records exist, when in fact they do, when others have requested them. I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm here to advocate for transparency, clarity, and consistency, because those are what we build trust in local government. I want to emphasize the importance of treating all members of this board with respect. Disagreement is part of the public service, but respect is what allows this body to function effectively and maintain, once again, public trust. When board members are treated unevenly or dismissively, whether intentionally or not, it undermines collaboration and confidence in the process. I hope we can recommit to a culture in 2026 where every supervisor is afforded the same courtesy, transparency, and professionalism, especially during moments of disagreement. Thank you very much.
Further comment?
Ben Kellogg.
Good morning, Ben Kellogg, Weirville. All we're looking for here is transparency, openness, positive tenor within the Board of Supervisors. We don't want you all to turn into what happens in Reading every month, where you're yelling, screaming at each other, disrespect. That doesn't get things done for our county, which needs serious help in so many things. I know it's a knee-jerk reaction when someone comes at you and disagrees with you to get defensive and things of that sort, but you all are supervisors, and to treat a supervisor like most of you did with Supervisor Brownfield was just unacceptable. And cutting off public comment is unacceptable. That's realistically a Brown Act violation. People need to be careful. I know Trinity County for a very long time has thought, well, some people are going to complain and then they'll go away. Well, as you can see, this isn't going away. Some of us will come up on a monthly basis and speak, and we will take the brunt of whatever comes at us, the jokes, the snide remarks, things like that. But there are many people behind us that, for whatever reason, agree with what's being said up here during public comment. And those people may or may not be able to speak for several different reasons, but there's many of us, and we're not going away. Things need to change. They don't need to, it's not a thing of, well, it's our way or the highway, but we're your constituents. We're the ones that bother to come up here on a monthly basis and speak about issues. Thank you.
Further comment online?
Veronica Kelly Albies.
Good morning, supervisors. Veronica Kelly Albies, Weaverville Douglas City Parks and Recreation District. I wanted to thank Supervisor Gogan for his service over the last year. I look forward to perhaps having some Douglas City town hall meetings. That's just me. But I do appreciate everything that was done over the last year. I would like to welcome Supervisor Carpenter Harris. I do look forward to working together over the next year for the betterment of the whole of county. I just wanted to say, we're moving forward, reset, regroup, push on, be better, be faster, present what we can for our county. I would like to address what everybody has been talking about with Supervisor Brown. That day and that moment showed human nature from every single supervisor sitting up there. And it's understandable. As someone who came from private enterprise into a government entity 9 years ago, the learning curve was huge. And every single person sitting up there, I believe, has gone through that. And it's hard and it's difficult and it's not pretty. And it doesn't give you the answers you want sometimes or the outcomes. But I encourage everyone to continue working together, support each other as supervisors. Human is going to happen. We do hold you to a higher standard because it's something that we need from you. But I just want to say it was human. Regroup, reset, move on. And I'm looking forward to all of us working together as we move into 2026, because there are great projects coming down the road, other great things. And I want to focus on that as well as the problems that we may need to work on. So thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you do. And look, let's have a great 2026.
Further comment?
I show no other raised hands.
We will now close public comment. We now open reports and announcements, and we will receive any reports from our department heads. I just want to make it known that all of the department head reports can be found on that department's websites on a regular basis. Those are updated. And then we also receive department head reports via email prior to meetings. So simply because a department head is not here present doing a verbal report out, we have received those through written documents, and those are also available for everyone to look at on that department's website. So if we have any department heads in the room, we would move into presentations now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just real quick, I just wanted to announce that our external auditors will be here next Monday, so our audit will be beginning. Tax apportionments will go out this month along with tax refunds, W-2s, and 1099s from the auditor's office. And that was about all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh,
I'm sorry. This is Christine Gaffney, Auditor Controller.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any further department heads?
Good morning, Tim Saxon, Sheriff. Board, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Here we go again. Last year was better than the year before. Let's hope this year is even better than that one. Start off by saying that today we had a presentation from RCRC and Mr. Blacklock. I was very, very interested in his block there talking about recruitment and retention, because as I have talked to you all before, we continue to have a problem with recruitment and retention. In fact, just today I was talking to the undersheriff. We had been hiring and getting people through backgrounds, and surprisingly, we get to a point in our background investigations as we push them through and push them through. Even today, we've had a couple of people that we get right up into the medical and psych part of our hiring process, and they call us up and go, hey, I'm sorry, I've thought about this and I no longer want to go through. And so they drop off. So we continue to push and push and push and hire, and we go right back to the beginning again. So we have another test schedule, I believe, Thursday for correctional deputies, and we'll get some more into the process. We currently have one deputy in the post academy in Siskiyou that started in the middle of December, so he's progressing well. We had another deputy prospect going through backgrounds, and he decided at a point in the background investigation, he decided that this was no longer for him. He's pulled out. So we're going to be going forward with another prospect in that avenue as well. So just wanted to update you on that. Let's see, the beginning of December, we had another issue with our jail HVAC systems. That's the heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Over the last couple of years in the new jail facility, you've heard me give an update at various times. We've had issues with the entire system. The summertime, we have issues where the air conditioning system goes out. In the wintertime, we have issues where the heating system goes out. Our general services for the county, fantastic people. They come out, they evaluate, they do as much as they can from their standpoint. And then we have to contact our contractor, which is down in the valley. They come up, evaluate the system, do everything they can to repair. From time to time, though, it comes down to where they have to order parts. Parts, because of the supply chain issues, sometimes take a little bit longer to come in and repair those. At this point in time, we have everything running again. It took about 4 weeks for some of those systems to come back online. So just to let you know, in case you hear anything from some of your constituents, those systems, we had 2 of them that were down for about 3 weeks. We supplemented with some supplemental heating, but those things are back online now. It's a constant issue though, and I've been working with CAO on looking at construction issues going back to the time when we first contracted. So we're evaluating some things there to see what we can do with regard to that. So just in other words, to keep you up to speed on what's been going on with that. To address something that Supervisor Lutweiler has had an ongoing conversation with me about and with CAO with communications in the Lewiston area. We have been tracking a lot of emergency communications issues, not only there, but with the Hayfork area as well, with our 911 system. The 911 system, well, first let me back up. I don't have anything to do with cell telephones, the cell tower, anything like that. So I can't control that. What I can tell you is that the cellular 911 system is tied to the statewide OES system, Office of Emergency Services. They control the 911 communication system that goes into every one of the PSAPs or the lines that go into every one of the emergency 911 systems in the state. In fact, nationwide, not OES, but nationwide, we have a system of 911s. California, and you can go online and you can Google this, but California has had a failed 911 system for years. They are now in the process of redoing their entire 911 system. And until they do that, we're going to deal with the system that we have as best we can. Our dispatch is about 4 years old now, and the system that they put in was one of the newest ones at the time, which is due to be replaced as soon as the state decides what new system they want to go with. We do have problems with it from time to time. We make do with it the best we can, but we're tied to a statewide system. It's nothing that we in Trinity County or me as the sheriff can do about it other than go with our contractor. When there's a problem with it, we try and service it internally, and then we go to the contractor. So we do the best we can with it. We don't like to see delays in 911 responses. And so we get on it as soon as we can, and we contact our OES coordinator when we have an issue with the 911 system. With regard to page outs, anytime we have an issue with that, we directly go to our dispatch. We try and find if it's an internal issue with our dispatch system, or if we can't do that, then we go to our contractor and have the maintenance issue handled that way. On today's agenda, you'll see on consent, an item dealing with a new fund that we want to set up. For several years now, one of my priorities has been to get funding set up so that the county can begin addressing our aging radio emergency communication system, which really has not been addressed for decades. We have a system of repeaters around this county that are aging, that are failing or in a state of soon-to-be failure that need to be addressed. This is the first step into looking into what we need to do to begin that process. So again, we are aware of these systems. We are aware of the problems that come up, as Supervisor Lutweiler is well aware of, as well as the fire departments, because we deal with addressing those during chiefs meetings. We are doing the best we can to maintain the system and to move forward on it. So it's not that we don't have the ability to page out. It's just sometimes there's glitches in the system, and we are doing the best we can to repair those. That's my update right now. Questions?
Any questions for the board?
Yeah,
Supervisor
Tim,
Gogan?
you had mentioned earlier in your talk there that you had a couple police move through the academy, sheriff's deputies move through the academy, and at the last minute they bailed out. Any particular reason they gave for leaving after moving so far through the process?
As a point of clarification, sir, these were individuals that One had already completed the academy at a previous time. We were looking at them. They had already had their post certificate. So we did not have to send them the academy. They chose to test with us, and we were going to go ahead and hire them. They were in the background process. They got to the point where their background was almost completed. They just decided they no longer wanted to move forward. They don't have to give us a reason, and they didn't. They just said, I'm no longer interested.
Any idea what the reason might have been?
I don't want to speculate
Fair
in
enough.
this open session.
I think in there, you mentioned retention part of things, and I think it might have been just Jill and myself that I think we gave 500,000 for retention a couple years back during COVID to the sheriff's department. Did that seem to help retention?
Yes, sir. That was an item that came forward. I believe that was 2021.
Yeah.
That was an item through the DSA. At that particular time, that did help retain the individuals that were considering leaving Trinity County at that time. I believe that was a $3,000 or $4,000 incentive to stay. And it was on a tiered level. I don't quote me on it. I'm not quite sure what it was. And that enticed several people to stay.
So Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not remembering correctly, that tier stage was, I'm just gonna make this up. If you've been there 1 to 5 years, you got $5 grand. 5 to 10 years, you got 20, 10 to 15, or 5 to 10, you got 5,000. I think some of the deputies got north of 20,000 to stay.
I don't recall the exact numbers. I can't.
Jill,
I can't
you remember?
verify that.
I remember it being a large sum. I wouldn't quote it without looking back. I can't remember exactly.
I just wonder where we're going with this.
No, I was just wondering if retention was part of it and if it ever came back up and we did have, COVID type money again, do you think it was worth the bang for the buck?
Yes, sir, I do think so. However, I would defer that to the DSA and have the DSA come back to you. However, I would like to, since you've opened that door, I would like to stress the fact that if that were something that were to come to fruition again, I would ask that not be something that would come out of my next year's budget, though, as it did last time. That incentive did come forward, and then it was taken out of my next year's budget, which caused me to have to defer some things out of that budget.
Supervisor Leutwiler, were you accomplished in your questions?
No, I remembered a little bit different, but was it ARPA money that you got? Something like that?
I don't recall that, but it was tied into a pay raise as well, and that pay raise, the retention schedule was not taken out of my budget, but it was in conjunction with a pay raise, and that pay raise then
Gotcha.
was taken out of my budget, which caused significant issues out of the following year.
Got it. Understandable. I got it. Thank you.
Are you complete in your question?
yeah,
Are you complete? Okay,
yeah.
Supervisor Leutwiler, anything? Supervisor Brownfield?
No,
Any
thank you.
questions? Supervisor Fox? Thank you.
Thank you very
Sheriff
much.
Saxon.
Tim, thank you.
Are there any other department heads in the room? Seeing none, any online?
I show no raised hands.
Thank you. We'll now move to the report out from our County Administrative Officer, Trent Tuthill.
Thank you, Chair. In addition to what Sheriff Saxon just talked about, the emergency communications project, the initial assessment and evaluation of the complete system starts next week. We have that under contract, and a team will go out and provide that assessment, and then that'll help us prioritize what those needs are. And as folks have been listening to this meeting, not only today, but in the past, I've been providing updates on our emergency communications project for a number of meetings now. So this is not a new topic for us, and we have been working this for a while. The general plan EIR process kicks off this week. There'll be a legal ad in the Trinity Journal that starts the public comment period, which runs 30 days. At the next Board of Supervisors meeting on January 20th, there'll be an update and discussion just on the general process for the board's full awareness, and an opportunity to ask questions just on the process itself. And then in addition to the general plan update, just as a reminder, the zoning code update is also ongoing and proceeding as planned at the next Planning Commission special meeting, which is currently scheduled for the 29th of January. There's going to be a draft that's going to be presented and going to be reviewed. That document should be available shortly for the planning commissioners to start reviewing well in advance of that meeting. Following their review of that, this board will also receive an update and a status check in late February, early March timeframe, again for another public view of the document and for the board to consider and to provide any direction at that time. But we are on track for those things. Which document? So that one is the zoning code update, so chapter 17 of the zoning code. That'll be a comprehensive update. Just as a reminder, those are in and of themselves, those are significant projects and will require a lot of time to review and go over from not only the public, the staff, the board. So as we enter into 2026, there will be a number of touch points for that. And the project is still on track for the end of 2026 final adoption. As Pat Blacklock mentioned, the jail health options, we are having a RFP review this week for the different regions. We're in Region 5. And we'll be reviewing that. All the CAOs in our region will review that with the RCRC staff. I haven't seen what the costs are yet. I haven't seen all the details. I've seen the RFP itself, but we'll talk through that process. And if we need to come back to the board for budget authority for potential funding of that based upon what the group consensus is as far as how to move forward, that will come forward at a later board meeting. The mid-year budget review, just for your awareness, we are on track and planning to do one of those again this year. It will be in February, and we'll do them similar to that we have done in the previous years. And to start 26 off right, I've got a quality of service recognition. Again, for the assessor's office and Jessica in the assessor's office. This was submitted right at the end of 2025, late December. And on the form, there's categories of very good, good, fair, and poor. Well, this individual chose to write in their own definition, and they put in another block in there of excellent. So, above any of the other categories. And said, great service, you should be proud to have Jessica on the team, and that we are. So I thank Jessica for her efforts and the whole assessor's office. And that's all I've got for right now.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for CAO Tuthill? Gogan, Leutwiler, Brownfield, Cox? Thank you. We will now move to report outs by the members of the Board of Supervisors, and we will start with Supervisor Brownfield.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Heidi, on your chair position. You've earned it, and I look forward to working with you this year. I've had very little meetings this month. I expect a lot this month. I mean, the last month, I expect many this month. I want to wish everybody a happy New Year's. I've been talking to constituents constantly. That is my main focus right now, is to learning and listening to the needs of the people in my district, and look forward to working with this board going forward to progress this county. I know we can do it. I'm excited about this year. We've got a lot Trent's done a good job trying to move this budget forward in numbers. And so thank you, and I look forward to it. Thank you
Yes.
all.
I look forward to coming to your district soon. A little roads tour together. Supervisor Cox.
On December 17th, I met with Wesley Fink. He is Senator Schiff's North Coast Field Rep. For him, I underscored the need for a permanent appropriation for our secure rural schools, the need to be held. I haven't read my own note in 3 weeks. Forgive me. I'm going to skip what I highlighted for him. It's things we are all familiar with and need. But I did invite him here for what I hope will turn out to be a 2-day visit in March. He was receptive to my invitation, wanted to do that. And so I have posed 3 options for him, and hopefully we'll be in a planning phase to get him moving about our county and seeing some of the things that we need to communicate back to Senator Schiff. My out-of-county travel consisted of my quarterly meeting with Forest Supervisor Berkey on the 19th, and then 2 representatives from the Division of Boating and Waterways will be joining Project Manager Marcus Nova this Friday at the Recreation Division of the Trinity County Collaborative to discuss information and updates on the Minersville Boat Ramp Project. I'm just really thankful for that really positive and ready response from our state to come and just join a conversation about that. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Leather.
Yes, the items that I was focused on since the last meeting was first the Tourism Funding Ad Hoc Committee. We'll have an update regarding that later as an agenda item. The NORTEC Executive Committee, I've continued to do a lot of work in that area. There's just some special circumstances that we're working through, so that has taken up quite a bit of time. No out-of-county travel for it since the last meeting. I will be hosting, along with Planning Commissioner Fall, a community meeting in Trinity Center this week on Thursday evening. And this is focused on rehabilitation housing that is planned for that area. And there's just been a lot of concern raised. I think there's a lot of lack of awareness about how this process works. And just for this board's perspective, what is happening is someone has bought a home, they're working through the process to get licensed to offer rehabilitation services to people that could include detox services. And the plan is for that to be for 6 or fewer patients. And when someone is going to use a residential property for 6 or fewer patients, there is no public notice, there is no special requirements. Basically, nothing can be required that isn't required of any other single family home. And so there's a lot of education that has to take place about this. And then there are concerns from people, including things like, you know, there aren't sheriff's deputies that are easily accessible to that area if that happened to become an issue. The volunteer fire department is just that, a volunteer fire department. Is that going to be a heavier load and lift for the community? Just a number of things like that. So we've been working with county council, with state representatives, with talking to the individual who's working on the licensing application, all trying to just gather all the appropriate information, and we'll share that at the meeting and bring back information as appropriate. And then the last thing is safety of dam releases. We were noticing that the lake was getting pretty full, and there is a level at which the Bureau of Reclamation determines that they have to let water out to make sure that there's enough room for water coming in, so we don't ever experience what Oroville experienced. And we were in contact with representatives asking, you know, how and when will we learn about things when we received the email that said it's happening. So it's already going up. They stopped the decrease that was taking place as part of the storm event releases. They stopped that and then also made notes for it to start increasing. And I'm still awaiting additional information, but it appears that the releases are all coming down the river. And so, you know, one of the questions back to the Bureau of Reclamation is, why all down the river? And what about the implications that has on our economy? So trust me, I'm not going to question that we need to have safety of dam. That's more important than anything. But I do want to just make sure that all the right considerations going into that, and also asking for as much notice as we can get so that people can be aware. I know within 2 hours of the notice going out about the river increases, I had fishing guides calling me, telling me they were canceling trips for the following week. And so people, if we can, need to have information as soon as they can, and information that might indicate duration so that they can plan accordingly. And I'll just keep people informed as that progresses, and keeping CAO Tuthill and Patrick Flynn and others involved so that they're aware of the work that I'm doing on behalf of District 1, since it starts there at least. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Gogan?
So just to answer that question, Trent, is it true that they are having problems with the tunnels going over again this year as they were last?
It's not the tunnels this year. It is the output from Clear Creek. They're at half capacity there. So out of Whiskeytown, they're at half capacity.
And their ability to allow the overflow to go into Clear Creek.
Correct.
Through the Glory Hole.
Interesting enough, but I'll leave it at that. Over the Christmas and New Year's week prior to Christmas and up till just yesterday, I've been working out in Hayfork on some homeless encampments. My top priority was the one that was behind the school, elementary and high school there. And we've done a great job of cleaning that up. Myself, Leroy Warshire from the from the Hayfork Fire Department was a big help. We ended up going out there on Christmas Eve and delivering, I don't know, 10 or 15 whole chickens and baked potatoes that Kenny Wiley at Wiley's Market cooked up for us. And, we're getting real good cooperation on some of those sites, which were just below the bridge in Hayfork. The homeless encampment by the satellite dishes that were there. There was 4 or 5 tents there. Now there is nothing there, but we have a bunch of piles now of trash that have been stacked up and are ready to be taken to the dumps. So we're hoping to get that moved off to the dumps and get that area cleaned up for a little while. And it was a good effort by the people that were there. I think Leroy did a great job. And, we will keep at it and hopefully that, we can keep those people out of that spot there. Although, as Trent reminds me, they will go somewhere else. So let's hope we can keep them moving along. I do have a town hall meeting coming up on the 14th, next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow at the Roderick Center at 6 o'clock. I'm going to try to rally some of the troops over there in Hayfork to help load up some of the construction bags. We gave them 100 probably construction, 55-gallon construction bags to put their garbage, old clothes, whatever in, and we're going to need a pretty good force to do some loading of some trucks and some trailers that lift trailers that can dump things off there. So we're making progress. We're moving forward. I know there's a lot more to be done out there, and I hope that we can kind of chip away at this, and we are. Next on my list was we have Adrian Keys is leaving the Fairgrounds Board after 9 years of service, which I certainly hate to have him leave the Fairgrounds Board. He has a lot of historical knowledge and just a great person overall. I respect all the work he's done, not just for the Fairgrounds, but for everything he's done in Hayfork with that community, with the cannabis community over there, and all the effort that he has put forward. So next board meeting, I will probably announce that we will have a new Fairground board member. who will be Sunday Stanley, who is the daughter of Hippie Chuck. Hippie Chuck was on the fairground board for several years, and Sunday Stanley was on the school board for several years. So we are going to come in with some historical knowledge there after Adrian leaves and Sunday comes on. So I'll get that on the agenda for 2 weeks from today. And that seems to be it for me.
Thank you. I attended a meeting on December 22nd and had the opportunity to meet with our natural resource and agricultural leaders in the community and meet our new UC Extension folks that are coming in to work in agriculture, predominantly on our rangelands, and then also our new extension for forestry. So that was a lovely meeting. There was all the hats were in the room, and it was a great time to share our concerns and what we're looking for, and some of the data that is necessary to plug and chug on some of the issues that we have. One of the pieces of study or data that I'm hoping we can start to begin to gain information on as part of our long-term efforts to recover our county from the catastrophic wildfires is, from a data perspective, what does it look like in length of time that our roads become impacted after long-term negative impacts from wildfire? So, for example, as I've mentioned before, the root systems function as natural retaining walls. Once you have a large catastrophic wildfire move through, those roots die off after the trees are gone. They begin to decay. Water gets down into those systems and it loosens the soil, and you start losing through surface erosion and then sometimes deeper level erosion. And we have a lot of that happening on our county roads. We also have situations where due to the removal of all layers of vegetation, you have a lot of surface runoff, you get a lot of debris in the streams. Sometimes they tweak our bridge footings, and we have, anywhere from 1 to 10 years before you actually see the long-term negative impacts on some of our roads in those catastrophic wildfire places. So my request of them was how do we begin to collect some data so that we can move in and begin to ask for finances that have been allocated to the fire to still remain available for us when we have to fix county roads that were so negatively impacted by that. And I've kind of coined this phrase that out isn't over for us, because the fire is out. We have a little bit of time to file our concerns, but it's really a short time period, and it doesn't show that long-term impact. So I'm hoping that that's something we can look at. And then also the continued impact to our roads when we're all very, well, I am happy when we hear things that we're going to get to do a timber sale in an old burn, or we're going to have things like the Big Ranch project go, but adjacent to all of those Forest Service roads are county roads that get them to those locations. And so our county roads become heavily impacted by increased transport of log trucks and other large equipment begin to impact our county roads as they service as the link to some of those Forest Service roads. So what is that costing us in the long run as we recover from these wildfires? So certainly out is not over. It takes years for us to recover from those, and the impacts to our county roads continue long after what is called the fire recovery has occurred. So I'm really interested in that, because I think that is something that I'm going to work to bring forward on the Public Lands Caucus in my seat at NACO, to really press on what is the real cost of wildfire recovery. And that must include county roads, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that when I get some of that documentation together and we're able to grab more of that, we can begin to press on understanding what that is and then make the ask that's necessary. I had just several communications with some of my folks that I talked to in the High and Palm community, just over the road being closed and their concerns regarding that. And then also speaking back and forth with via email and text with the roads department on how that road's holding up, and then the Forest Service roads that are alternatives. And then just like everyone, we're always fielding immediate concerns that rise when things like the storms that we've been having, the extended wind events that have been happening in West County, I know, because I'm living through them. And just the concerns that people have about some of the roads that are in peril in my district, and they have concerns of, what happens if it falls in. And that's a good question, but it's a real concern for a lot of people. We live deep in the mountains, and it's hard to maintain some of those at times. We have in the far west of Trinity County had a notable increase in bear and mountain lion visitations to homes. So when RCRC comes before us and says they're working on these concerns with our ability to protect ourselves from those encounters, and then how do we begin to maybe manage those populations so that our Ring cameras aren't going off multiple times with mountain lions and bears visiting as close as some people's front doors throughout the last month or so. I also want to just take the time to sort of pause. Everybody take a deep breath. We mentioned this morning that we lost a congressman who fights hard for Northern California. And I know in my district, there's been several accidents where those accidents, people are still in ICU. And life is really valuable, and it can be eclipsed very quickly, and it doesn't always give you forewarning. And just to be careful out there on the roads right now, this time of year, there's a lot of deer and rocks and so forth, and just be mindful of that. Let people know when you're leaving from one place and when you hope to arrive at the next, so that they can keep an eye out for you, because that river is big and deep and cold right now, and we want to make sure everyone's getting to and from. In that line of thought, I really have been grateful for the activity of CHP on Highway 299 and the hard work of the Caltrans crews and the Trinity County roads crews, on our feeder roads that take us out into our communities. And we have not lost power in West County. We're on PG&E, where most of you guys are on PUD. So I don't know how you guys have weathered, but I am amazed that we didn't lose power during those big wind gusts. And I just am super grateful to all of those men and women that work hours and hours and hours during these types of events to keep our life moving forward. And I just want to say the school buses are back on the road. So make sure that you are one of those people that stops when the little sign comes out the side, and you're paying attention to that, because our children are our future. And one of my favorite things during the holiday season was I took the time to drop candy canes off at the schools in my districts and got to go visit a couple classrooms and hand those out. And just getting to see the kids and the excitement of the holiday season in their eyes is always a treat for me. And our schools really do matter. And I'm grateful to have opportunity to serve the kids in our community. They are a underheard voice, in my opinion. So I always ask them, what do they think needs to be done, or what are they worried about? And they're pretty mindful. It's interesting. So that's the close of my report out. And we will now move on to the reports for ad hocs. We have a report out from our cannabis tax ad hoc at this time.
Hear you. Go ahead. So currently, we have plans to meet on Wednesday the 14th at 12:30 to 2. Those are public meetings. They will be here in Weaverville. I think Terry and Drew are both good with those. Is that correct, Terry? And then Friday, Friday the 9th, we will have one in Hayfork from 12:30 to 2. Terry will not be available for that, so we'll gather up the questions that we get on that one, bring them forward to you at the meeting the following week, and just to make sure that we're doing everything correctly and by the books, and give you the information that we have received. These meetings are open to the public, so I hope we get a lot of public input to that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what we see and where they want to go and how far we can go with it. So I'm looking forward to that. We do have a couple TCAA will be present there, as will a few other folks. And Rick, if you had anything to add to that, that would be great.
No, I think we'll just have to confirm the location so that people know where, and then we'll get this posted and shared with folks. And again, this is just public comment so that we, as we come back to the board to share thoughts on what, if any, changes should be made to the cannabis taxes, then we have the benefit of that public input and discussion with Drew from the Community Development Department, which includes cannabis as well as other things, and Terry from a tax standpoint. So we're looking forward to getting that public input and bringing back recommendations to the board.
And I think we have the 9th set up at the fairgrounds. The Weaverville one, not yet.
What time is the Hayfork one? April's 12th.
They're both from 12:30 to 2.
3rd to 2, one's Friday the 9th. The second one is Wednesday the 14th. Friday the 9th will be in Hayfork at the fairgrounds. And I guess date or place to be determined on the 14th in Weaverville.
Yeah, I think I mentioned we might try to get this location, but we'll just have to make sure it's
Fine.
available. Should be, but we'll see.
And we should have that information by the 1st, or by the 9th, I would imagine.
And how will people be able to, if they're not listening to this, or are we going to put notices out of any way so folks know to come?
Does this need to be notified legally at all?
Or just for the public to be able to find out this information outside of this announcement? Is there, can we put it on the county for people to be able to come?
So this is not a meeting of the legislature. This is a listening session. So, but it should be published to get the maximum effect. So I would
That's what
recommend
I'm,
putting it on
yes.
there.
All right.
We'll just make sure there's flyers or some kind of post on social media or something like that. Okay. I don't want people to not have the opportunity to come simply because they didn't know when it was happening.
I'll get hold of the Journal today, have them put something in there for the Hayfork one tonight.
Too late.
Too late.
Oh, it is today, Monday, huh? All right. Looks like word of mouth.
All right. Well, I think all of us have communications with folks in the industry, so just work your group, the folks that you talk to about this, just make sure they have that. I'll send out a little note. Very good. We'll now move, are you complete in that report out? We'll now move to a report out from tourism.
Yeah, the Tourism Advisory Group, we actually have an agenda item, so I think we can really just save it for that. We did meet. We came up with specific recommendations that have been documented in the backup materials for the agenda, and so we'll just cover that at that time.
Thank you. We'll now take on item E, the consent calendar. These items include routine, non-controversial matters and will be acted upon by the board by one roll call motion. If a member of the public has any questions or comments on an they may provide them now. A member of the board or staff may request an item to be pulled and considered separately. Do we have public comment on this item in the room?
Once again, Chair Supervisors Lisa Wright Lewiston. I'm requesting that you pull item, let's see. Sorry, $2.5 million, E5. I find that neither routine nor potentially non-controversial. I think it should come in the open. And then also E3, the regular meeting minutes for December 16th. I'd like a discussion on that to address the accuracy and completeness. Meeting minutes are the official historical record of the board's actions. They must accurately reflect what occurred, including written materials submitted by the public and any actions taken in closed session that require a report out. On December 16th, I submitted written public comments and supporting materials to the clerk. These submissions are not reflected in the minutes. I am resubmitting them today solely for record accuracy and requesting that the minutes be corrected to reflect their receipt. With respect to closed session, the minutes reflect a report out stating that direction was given to staff to open nationwide recruitment for the CAO position. That report out confirms that an action was taken. When his action is taken in closed session regarding appointment of a public employee, the Brown Act requires the report out include the vote or abstentions of each board member. The December 16th minutes do not reflect any vote, abstentions, or unanimity. In addition, a written report out document was used to announce the closed session action on December 16th. They do not reflect the existence of that document or include its contents, which further contributes to an incomplete record. Further discussion regarding recruitment scope and process, such as whether to conduct the nationwide search, are policy decisions that ordinarily occur in open session rather than closed session. That makes it especially important that the minutes clearly and fully reflect what action was taken and how. For clarity, I want to note that there are many examples of Brown Act compliant minutes that include both action taken and required vote disclosure in this local area. I've reviewed them. I'm not asking the board to adopt any particular format, only to ensure that the minutes meet the transparency requirements of the law. I respectfully request the December 16 minutes be corrected to accurately reflect the public submissions and to include a lawful and complete closed session report out. So on both of those topics, I would like board discussion and open session for public comment and to hear what you all think as well. Thank you.
Further public comment in the room? Public comment online.
Catherine Sidman.
Catherine Sidman, Lewiston. I'd like to request that you pull E.1.
Catherine, one moment, please. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, sorry. Can you
There
hear
we
me
go.
now?
Thank you. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Could you please pull E.1, E.4, and E.5 just for discussion? I'm not objecting to them necessarily, but I'd like to learn more about them. They don't seem like routine things. If you could just pull those and explain what they are and then go ahead and vote, that would be great. Thank you.
Can you repeat those requests again? E1, E5, and what was the other one?
E4, thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment online?
Ben Kellogg.
I'd actually like to get more information on E1, and also request that something is put on a future agenda in regards to the 911 system and repeater system. Get more into a deep dive of the problems, things of that nature. The Lewiston issue is troubling to me. Is this an issue where people can't call 911 in Lewiston and get to the PSAP? Is it an issue that the PSAP can't page out to Lewiston Fire? What exactly is the issue? Do we have radio technicians? How many do we have? Just
Mr. Kellogg, I appreciate your concerns in that matter, but we are taking public comment on the items that are specifically noted in the consent calendar.
okay. E1. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further requests online or public comment online?
I show no other raised hands.
Okay, thank you. We'll close public comment on the consent calendar and bring it to the board. Are there any items or on the consent calendar that the board would like to pull or have questions about?
For the sake of discussion, we can listen to our public and pull E1, E4, E3, and E5 just for discussion and to clear their understanding of what's going on. It's a good education for our public.
Okay, sorry, say those one more time. E1.
So the public asked for E1, E4, E3, and E5 on the public's behalf.
Any other questions or requests by the board? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve all remaining items as presented.
I will second.
So, but for clarification, you are approving all other items other than E1, E3, E4, and E5? Okay. And Supervisor Gogan, you seconded that?
Did.
Okay, call for the vote on that.
Supervisor Gogan.
Aye.
Supervisor Lewiler.
Aye.
Supervisor Cox.
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield.
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris.
Aye. We will now hear item E1, please. Public comment.
Chair, may I make a comment?
We'll read the item into Auditor Controller, approve establishing a new special review fund, 124 Emergency Communication System. CIO Tuttle?
May I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I know there's been some discussion in the last few meetings about routine and non-controversial matters. Every item on this consent calendar is in fact routine to normal county operations. We can have and pull these all the board wants to and talk into these in excruciating detail. But everything on here is very routine and non-controversial. If people think that we're doing something different here than any other county is, I would urge them to look at the other 57 counties and look at their agenda items and look at what they put on consent. And it might be a little bit eye-opening. We don't put as much on consent as a number of other jurisdictions do. Putting items on consent makes the process much more efficient and effective. And these items are in fact routine for county operations. Just because somebody might not know about them doesn't make them non-routine or non-controversial. So, we can spend all day doing this every meeting if that's what the board's pleasure is, and we'll go through that. But it is not good use of staff time, and I do not advise it. But we will go on and talk about these for however much detail you guys want.
I will make an additional comment to that. As CAO Tuthill mentioned, when we do pull these and ask for extended period of time, our staff is sitting here in this room, or they're waiting for their item that has been pulled to come up so that they can address those situations, which means they're not doing their daily duties. And so that is something that we need to remember when we're making the decisions to pull items. So I just would like that to be acknowledged. So we will now, do we have a presentation regarding item E1?
We don't have a presentation. Christine's here, and we can talk through this, and she can add anything she wants to. But this is to establish a fund specifically for the emergency communication system. Staff has talked about this. I've briefed this in this meeting numerous times now. And we received $180,000 from the state, courtesy of Senator Michael McGuire. Thank you, Senator McGuire. And to improve our emergency communication system. As Sheriff Saxon mentioned earlier today, it has taken us multiple decades to get into the position we're in. Well, now we're taking steps to correct that. And we're going to, in fact, make a specific fund for this under the Sheriff's Department. So this board and the public and anybody else who has a concern about it can have actual insight into what funds are specifically being used for this project. It won't just get buried in the big general fund that people comment about that they can't go and find information. It'll be very easy for them to go and find. It'll be very easy for us to pull reports and to determine exactly how much funding has been spent on this project. To establish any new fund, this is the standard routine process. It has to come before the board to get established. The auditor's office has put it together. We followed all the statutory regulations and guidelines, but it has to come to the board for final approval and adoption, that's what it's for today.
Thank you. Assessors, do you have any comments in addition to that?
Christine Gaffney, Auditor Controller. No, you covered it well. And there's also the attachments of the Senate Bill 105 on this, which allocated the $108,000 for Trinity County.
Thank you for your time. Any public comment on this item?
Thank you.
Chair Supervisors Lisa Wright, Lewiston. Wow. What disdain was just exhibited by our CAO towards the public's interest in a topic. I'm frankly just shocked, but this is kind of par for the course. We have an absolute right to ask questions, and we didn't have to attend all the other meetings. If there's a question about what the fund is intended to do and the public wants to know, it might take another 5 minutes for you to do this discussion and have the openness and the transparency. That's all that we're really asking for. And so to be kind of admonished for asking for it to be addressed in public is super concerning. It's just a pattern over time that we've come to see. And hopefully this year we'll see some changes. I'm hopeful, but proof is going to be in the pudding. So please listen to the interests and the questions of your constituents. It might be a few more minutes for a staff member, but you know what? They work for the public. They work for the people. They work for us. This is the people's county government. It's not the CAO's county government. It's not your county government. It's the people's. And we're looking to you to effectively run it and be open and transparent. It's very limited in what you should be doing offline and outside of the public purview. And we just want that respect granted to the public and to people who are showing an interest. It's hard to come to these meetings. The working class people can't come to these meetings. When we come up here, the few of us that do, we're bringing hundreds with us that we're carrying on our back because they can't be here, either because of their work commitments or because of language barriers or because of not being comfortable in doing this. So please recognize that we're just asking for simple explanations. We're not challenging things. So don't treat us with disdain. We ask for that respect. We try to give it to you as well. So please, I'm just asking for that acknowledgement. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment in the room? Any online?
Catherine Sidman.
Catherine Sidman, Lewiston. This could have been 30 seconds.
We
30
cannot hear
seconds.
you.
This could have been 30 seconds of just a little bit of knowledge sharing. Instead, it was just a big scolding. It's so inappropriate. I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for the explanation.
Any others online?
I show no other raised hands.
Okay. I'll move it back to the board. Any questions or concerns on this item from the board?
Move to approve as presented.
I will second.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Leutwiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye. We'll now move to item E4, County Administrative Office, approve a budget adjustment for FY 25-26 for the emergency communication system.
You want to do E3?
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I regret. I'll move forward with item 3. Clerk of the Board, approve regular meeting minutes for the December 16th, 2025 meeting. Those minutes are in our backup material. Do you have any public comment, or do we need a presentation or a conversation about those? Does anyone have
I'm
anything
not sure what
further
the
added?
board wants to do on those. The minutes are as we have always done the minutes, and the documentation is the same as we've been doing them. If the board would like us to provide different direction, please do so.
I will ask County Council, are we abiding by all the laws around the Brown Act and the rules that govern this board when we present our minutes?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Any public comment in the room?
Lisa Wright Lewiston. So when the member of the public asks for something to be put into the record, we expect that it's going to be put into the record. The appropriate place to do that is in the minutes. At a minimum, it should be acknowledged within the minutes themselves that public commenter had made that request and where those records can be found. Currently, everything I submitted on December 16th is nowhere to be found. So that alone leaves an incomplete record of that meeting. Once again, the meeting minutes are the official historical record of the board's actions. They must accurately reflect what occurred, including written materials submitted by the public and any actions taken in closed session that require report out. That's also an area that is severely lacking, is your report out procedures from closed session and what is shown in the written minutes. It just is ongoing, and it's such a simple thing to fix. Why don't you accurately state the record in the minutes? It's not accurately being stated. Now, whether things are to the letter of the law, that's probably a question that shouldn't be answered on the fly, that perhaps some of these concerns that are being raised should be actually provided documentation as to why it's okay to not accurately reflect what happens in a meeting in the records of that meeting. I'm just perplexed. We're not getting any answers on why simple procedures, administrative procedures that are required of all public bodies aren't being followed. So I would just urge you to please ask staff to accurately depict the minutes, including items that are submitted by the public for inclusion in the record. Otherwise, they don't exist. There's nowhere out there that they are. We make a big effort to come here and to research. I've spent hours and hours and hours researching to try to provide good guidance and to make sure that there's the transparency that people are calling for. It's not that hard to do, right? It's really not that hard to do. Just please make accurate records. There's a common theme through years and years of inadequacy by the board. And I think we all know what that is. Thank you.
Any further public comment in the room? Any online?
I show no raised hands.
I'll bring the item back to the board for, to call for a motion so that we may have discussion, or is there questions on this item before we do that? If we're going to have discussion, we need to have a motion first.
I move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Open for discussion?
Mhm.
CEO Tuttle, is our Zoom publication a good enough representation for items from the public to be known publicly throughout the county?
I'm happy to respond to that. This board in the past has gone to what we call action item minutes. So our minutes just reflect action items. They don't encompass the entirety of the board. That is done through a video recording of it. Documents that are submitted by the public are not included as part of the minutes, but they are included as part of the public record for the purpose of folks being able to find them. They will be available online. And that's how it's been done for many years, pursuant to the direction of the board.
So just for my clarification, I want to make sure that I heard you correctly. Items that are presented by the public that they asked to have put into the record, those are then attached on the website to the records from that meeting? Is that how that works, or how do we put those into that? So if someone goes back to last month's meeting and they pull it up, how do we make sure that those things are in there?
I actually just pulled it up right here. Everyone is welcome to go to trinitycounty.org, go to agenda meeting and minutes. You can view or download the agenda packet. So after a public comment is handed over, when I get back to the office, I will do a revision of the packet, right? So it is available online.
All of those items are then put into that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And just county council, I know it's always scary when I say I'm referring to AI, but I do. So I just did a quick check. It says documents handed out by the public during the meeting do not have to be attached to minutes. There's no Brown Act requirement to summarize them, reproduce them, or append them. Many clerks simply note something like public comment received and move on. That is legally sufficient. Documents submitted in advance. If a document is submitted before the meeting, distributed to a majority of the legislative body, it becomes public record related to an agenda item. That document must be made available to the public, typically by posting or at the clerk's office. But again, still does not have to be embedded in the minutes themselves and so on. So it seems like that's very much in line with what you're telling us. And again, this board could choose which should be a separate agenda item if we want to have a discussion about that, about how we handle things. But specifically about proving these meetings, I don't see anything here that says we should have done legally anything differently. Is that what I just described? Is there anything you would correct about what ChatGPT has to say?
For one time, ChatGPT is correct. That is absolutely correct. Again, we take action item minutes here. We don't document everything that was said. The documents are available because they're handed out. They are part of the agenda packet, not part of the minutes. And that is what they're memorialized and has been done for many years.
Okay. And then just, again, because I think we get to a point on the board where we've been exposed to enough of this stuff for long enough, we take for granted that there's an understanding. So my point about clarifying, if the board wants to have a discussion about how our minutes should be handled, that's an agenda item, if the board so chooses to make it an agenda item. But it's not something we should be deciding now when we're being asked to approve or not. minutes from a previous meeting. So I just want to make sure for the public's benefit why I'm trying to make that clarification.
Thank you. Any further questions of the board?
Yeah, I would offer what I think might be a misunderstanding, and we can let council do the clarifying work on that. But what I heard coming forward in the public comment was a concern that an action had been taken in closed session and was not completely reported out. And that would have been because it was not a final action. So there are sometimes ongoing items of concern and that take multiple sessions. And as we are moving through that process, then an action may be taken that is on its path toward a final action. And it is when that final action is taken that the full report out must occur. Council, do I have that correct?
Correct. Government Code Section 54957.1 illustrates what we have to report out from closed session, and it is final actions. The report out of providing information about posting of the job description, that was not a requirement to report out. That was the board going above and beyond and providing additional information to the public on direction that it had provided to staff. Not a final action, direction. That is not a reportable item. The board had just gone above and beyond for transparency in that specific case.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move into the vote. So we had a motion to approve item E3 as presented from Supervisor Lutweiler and seconded by Supervisor Cox. And we will now move into the vote on that.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Lutweiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Gokin?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye. We will move to item E4. As requested, it has been pulled. County Administrative Office approve a budget adjustment for FY 25-26 for the Emergency Communications System Department 8124, increasing revenues by 180,000, salary and benefits of 13,600, and services and supplies by 35,000. There is no impact to the general fund. Increase in appropriations in Emergency Communication System Fund 124 of $48,600.
Thank you, Chair. As stated in item E1, E4 has a extensive staff report with it. I can address any questions that there may be.
Any public comment in the room regarding this topic or the request of information that was not presented in the packet that was?
Oh, I was just curious what the benefits and the salary were going towards. Is that hiring a new person to work on the repeaters and work on all that, or is that going to an existing employee?
Chair, would you like me to address the question from the public?
Please do.
That funding is going towards a part-time position that is going to manage this effort. That is for funding for the remainder of the fiscal year through June 30th, 26.
Thank you. Further public comment or questions in the room? Any online?
I show no raised hands.
I'll bring it back to the board for
Move.
a motion.
I move to approve.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Any further discussions or questions from the board on this matter? Seeing none, we'll call for their vote.
Supervisor Lutweiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Gokin?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye. We'll move on to item E5. As requested, Health and Human Services, Behavioral Health Services approve an agreement with the Trinity County Office of Education regarding receipt and disbursement of Behavioral Health Student Services Act BHSSA funds. No impact to general fund, up to $2,500,000 on behavioral health grant funding.
So I'm not sure if somebody from HHS is online, but this
morning.
item,
Please move forward, Liz.
Uh, Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Liz Hamilton, Director of Health and Human Services Agency. I'm happy to answer a specific question, but just a general overview. We submitted an application together with Office of Education for Behavioral Health Student Services Act funding. So we will actually operate as a pass-through. All these funds will move through to the Office of Education strictly to be used for mental health services in the school districts over a 3-year period.
Thank you. Will you remain online till we work through if the board has any questions after public comment?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Any public comment in the room?
Chair Supervisors Lisa Wright, Lewiston. I do have some questions. I guess number one, why would a sizable amount of funds be considered just routine? I would ask that something of that nature be put on the full agenda in the future rather than in the consent calendar. It often is viewed as kind of trying to be hidden, like there's something that doesn't want to be, they want to talk about it in public. But specifically, my question is more about, okay, so I don't understand why you're going through the County Office of Education as a just straight pass through. Well, I don't really understand how that's happening, and I didn't find an explanation. And then also, how will that be? Who's administering the grant? Who's receiving the grant administrative funds? And then how will that be tracked? Is that something that's already in your budget then for HHS that now is just going to be a disbursement into it to fund this activity that was mentioned? Just some general, more in-depth kind of questions about where this money is coming from, administration of it, and its use within, budgetary allocations. Thank you.
Any further public comment in the room? Any online?
I show no raised hands.
I'll bring it back to the board.
Move to approve as presented.
I will second.
Is there any discussion among the board or any questions, or would Liz, would you like to make any clarifications on the question that was asked from the public?
I will do my best to speak generally, but not to the detailed mechanics of some of the questions. We work collaboratively with the Department of Healthcare Services and offer that partnership to our school districts. And so there is plenty of reporting. There is quarterly reporting on students served, how the money is spent, and Office of Education completes those, and we submit them on behalf. The state asks that the counties partner with their school districts. That's why we come together to prepare support in this way.
Thank you. Any further discussion by the board? Any questions? Seeing none, call for the vote.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Lutwiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye.
Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes, please, Supervisor Lutwiler.
So I just wanted to add a comment about this process that we've just been through. From my perspective, obviously the public has the right and opportunity to provide public comment about each item on the agenda, including the consent calendar as a whole, and to request that something be pulled. I think what I took from comments made is that ultimately the board has the opportunity to review these materials between Friday and today. We have the opportunity to ask questions so that we feel like we have the information to make our decisions. And certainly if we feel as board members that we don't have the information that we need to make our decisions, then I'm always going to pull it for discussion. But I don't know that it's appropriate for us to say, because a member of the community wants more information, who is not being asked to make a decision on an item that officially, legally falls within the consent calendar criteria, that it needs to be pulled. Those are just two different things. So it's not wrong. I've pulled things because I heard somebody in the public say they wanted more information. So I said, oh, okay, do it. But I also do acknowledge the distinction. You know, there are many ways in which the public can find out information, including they can send the same emails and requests for information to county staff. They can schedule meetings. They can ask one of their representative on the board, all kinds of things. And so I think we just trying to clarify that, you know, what I took from the comments made here is not about whether the public has the right to ask questions or request for things to be pulled, but that it is the board's decision as to whether they feel like it is important for their own decision-making, or they feel like it is so significant that it should be pulled from the consent calendar because it didn't belong there. So that's what I took from it. My personal view, just wanted to leave that as we move on to the county matters.
Thank you.
Board member, do we all feel that our staff report is thorough? You know, I can look through these and
We'll have to agendize that as a question for the
Okay.
future. We will now take a, let's say 10-minute break and come back and return to county matters. So we'll return at 11:50.
Yeah.
Does it not sit here?
Alrighty. We will now reconvene the meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Trinity County. We'll be moving into county matters at this time. These items include non-routine. Is that right? Correct. These items include non-routine or controversial matters and are listed alphabetically by department. A member of the a member of the board, staff, or public may request that an item be heard out of order. We are in concurrence with the order. Okay, we move on to item F1. The Board of Supervisors consider the Tourism Funding Ad Hoc Committee's funding recommendation and provide direction to staff regarding the allocation of budgeted funds. No additional fiscal impact. Overhaul funding amount already adopted in the final FY 25-26 budget. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Oh, you want me to present it first?
I'm sorry. Please present, Supervisor Leweiler.
Okay. So hopefully not too long of a story, but to back up, so in the budget process, we, as a board, set aside $70,000 and created this ad hoc organization committee to work on recommendations as to if and how that money should be allocated, specifically focused on tourism. This is money coming out of the general fund, and the committee worked to first create sort of expectations and requirements, created an application process. We had, I believe, 9 applicants. There were 2 that the committee felt the request for use of the funds didn't fall within the criteria at all, and so we were going to recommend no funding. And those were basically small businesses looking for funds to expand their businesses, and in that they would provide services to tourists, whereas the others were focused on things that were being done specifically to attract tourists or, you know, support tourists while they're here. After we rated and ranked everything, then we pulled together the a set of questions, because we all had some follow-up questions, wanted to make sure we really made well-informed decisions, and sent those out to all the remaining applicants and invited them to participate in one-on-one discussions with the committee. And all but one were able to meet those meeting dates and times. The other simply submitted their responses in writing. The ad hoc committee then conducted those discussions, asked their questions, met again on another date to formalize that and come up with the recommendations that you see in the backup material. I would say in general, there were a couple of kind of guiding principles, and I'll invite Supervisor Cox to weigh in if I miss something or mischaracterize something. And if Drew Plabani or Terry McBrayer are online, they can help as well. But one was we're trying to maximize the impact of these funds. You know, there was a sense that historically we've allocated funds without a great deal of clarity about how they were going to be used, without any true accountability for how they were used, and that it seemed that we continued to operate in silos. And our goal here was to find a way to leverage more collaboration and leverage the marketing strategy that had been developed by the Trinity Chamber from the board's previous allocation of $100,000 extra dollars. And that document that came out of it, that then 26 Digital reviewed and said, oh, you have a good strategy, then we felt that, well, let's leverage that. And so when we were allocating funds, we were saying, and I'm sorry, and then there was another part that was kind of an intent, was that really the funds should be specifically focused on marketing / tourism development efforts, not on event or organizational operations. And yet, historically, we had been regularly just giving money to each of the organizations, and we didn't necessarily have a lot of strings that said this has to be tied with something that you're doing to draw in tourists. And so the recommendations that you see are providing what we were kind of referring to as an off-ramp for the organizations that are used to getting the funds for those, like put on an event or support things. We've had people tell us they use the money to pay the insurance that they needed so they could hold an event or something. So anyway, we're saying, okay, in these recommendations, what we're saying is, here's your off-ramp. Don't expect this in the future. And we're putting most of the money towards the Trinity Chamber to leverage against that digital marketing strategy with some caveats. And those caveats primarily are that that organization would present this advisory committee with a quarterly plan for what they were going to do that illustrated how they were leveraging the digital marketing strategy, but also supporting all these other organizations and the events that they're putting on, so that since we're centralizing the money, we're saying, but you still have to use it to support all these others. And so show us a quarterly plan for how you're going to do that. We will, assuming we are in support of that plan, we would authorize that to be released to you. And then as that quarter wraps up, they would present a report that showed that they followed through and what results they can share and what their next quarter's plan is. And then those meetings would be open to the public. So therefore, all these other organizations and anyone else that wants to come in can say, oh, I see what you said you were going to do. I see what you did. I see the results. I see what you're planning for the next meeting. Here's my input. I would like different support, more support. Don't like what that happened, whatever it might be. And then again, that ad hoc committee would be authorized to say, okay, go ahead and, release the funds if there is consensus that that's what should happen. So it's a more metered and accountable and transparent process that at least provides a very structured process for people to be collaborating across all organizational lines. Doesn't mean everybody will participate, but at least it creates that very clear opportunity to do so. And then I think a final piece that I would weigh in there is that you'll notice that there was $5,000, I think it was, that was not recommended to be allocated. And I think that kind of came back to, and the words associated with it were, when we're successful in getting tourists here, they are on our roads, they are making 911 calls, they are doing things that require services of the county. And so if there had been a super compelling reason to put that other 5,000 into some special initiative, the committee likely would have recommended to do so. But in their view, they said, we think this is a good allocation and we think this can go back to the general fund and be there for whatever it might be that could support the fact that visitors are great, but they also are a burden on our services. So I'll stop there. Supervisor Cox, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think you covered it extremely well. I guess the only other thing that I would add for consideration of this board, I will leave that. This is informational only. I'm good.
So yeah, if there's no questions, then we
Do you have any public questions or public comment in the room?
After reading what you've done, I have no concern about what you did. My question is that when you say quarterly, we are in the third quarter of this year already. So, and it'd be nice if we could start this no later than June for next year. So that's my only concerns.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room? Is there any online?
Veronica Kelly Albies.
Good almost afternoon. Veronica Kelly Halvies, Douglas City. I am on the Trinity County Chamber Marketing Committee as a volunteer. The group is mainly volunteers. We do have paid staff and we do utilize funds for a consultant that helps keep us on track and to help expand our tourism reach and understanding. As I looked at this, I wanted to say thank you for the time that we had to come in and explain what we've been doing. I was looking at that additional amount, the $5,500, and I know that routinely TOT funding brings in over $250,000, anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 a year, and that is my understanding is what is to help cover any issues with roads and stuff because of tourism. So I would kindly request that perhaps that $5,500 be kept in the tourism bank to be utilized, because as I hear now, having to prepare quarterly reports, and I appreciate what John just said, when will that start as a volunteer board? That's maybe something that we're going to have the paid consultant doing for us. I don't know. I'm happy to, I know we're all happy to present and give you information as we move forward, just something to think about. And I just wanted to say thank you for that opportunity. But, oh, the other thing was the 6 sessions. I would like to request that Trinity County Chamber use those as we move forward. We're being given a pretty heavy load. And now I'm hearing that we're going to be taking public comment and doing public presentations. There's a lot more. We're willing to do it, I imagine. I can't speak for everybody. Just from my experience with this marketing committee and the things that we are planning on doing and how we're going to be able to do them. Thank you.
Any public comment online?
Dana?
Hello, Dana Hauser from Hayfork. Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your new role. I'm just wanted to comment and give my thanks for the thoroughness of the ad hoc committee in making this difficult decision. I know that there's a huge need from all of our organizations, as we are all, volunteer based. And I'm thrilled that the Hayfork Chamber the recommendation is $7,500. I think we can do a lot with that. We had multiple proposals and we're planning really big, knowing that we weren't going to get all of that approved. But our longer term goals, we will get there one day. And I look forward to working with the other organizations in the county and having a cohesive marketing strategy. And yeah, thank you.
I show no other raised hands.
Thank you. We'll close public comment on the item, bring it back to the board.
I'll go ahead and make my comment. We'll need a motion on the table first.
Would you like to put a motion on the table?
Well, I'll move it for approval as presented.
And go ahead.
We'll open the floor for discussion by the board. Questions?
Okay, so the other piece of information I did want to put out there, and it does pertain to one of our public commenters and perhaps provide a little more clarification on the intent. So the concern that we could take potentially that 5,500 and mold it back into the other categories. The intent here and what I heard in the public, 70,000 out of a potential 300 has been allocated toward a tourism effort. Then that leaves another 230,000 that went toward the impacts of those tourists. But that actually isn't the reality. That's a wonderful idea if that were happening. And so the idea was to begin to, in a very practical way, receive the education that we have been given as to the realities and start in a practical action step to move ourselves toward taking care of the impacts that do happen. So, for example, a suggestion that I would have this board consider would be, today we opened up a separate funding source, knowing that our communication system is so badly in need of help, and the 180,000 that we receive from the state starts the seed money for what will be needed in the future. And so that is, one possibility, the one that I would recommend that 5,500 go toward. But really, my comment is to help us change our thinking toward that has been the intent of what TOT funds are, as the impact of our visitors. They don't pay property tax here. So that's their kind of tax as they move through as to those impacts. But we haven't practiced that in the past. So we're not used to that. It doesn't make sense on the face. But as we dig deeper, it does make sense. It is our reality. And so we have to work with that and figure out what we're going to do about it. So it's a step in that direction.
That's an interesting idea.
I would like to.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna address some of the questions that came up. So from the timing of the quarterly meetings, yeah, we're 6 months behind where I think we should be. We should have been making these decisions back last summer, and then they could have been starting right away. And so as we move into the next fiscal year, I would expect that we would be in a position to say, okay, in addition to, if we go with these numbers, you know, a fourth of this for each quarter. Now we're going to add money from the next fiscal year into each of those quarters. So that amount that would be allocated would still come out on a quarterly basis based on 4 quarters. And then depending on what we do going forward with whether the board sets aside $70,000 or more or less, then similar decisions could be made and that amount could be increased. But the process would continue and it would start effectively immediately. That was my perspective on it. And then regarding the extra work on behalf of the chamber, I don't disagree that it is extra work on behalf of the chamber. We are asking for quarterly plans, and again, there is an option that this 2.6 Digital had a proposal to us that said, if you want to pay us 20% of what you spend, we'll implement it for you. So we could just pay them to do that. And what I heard from Veronica as a representative from the Trinity Chamber, the marketing group is, well, you know, maybe you could give us that extra 5,000 or so because we are going to have to perhaps pay our own people to administer and to create these additional plans and reports and take in public input and modify and so forth. So you could spend it with us to help us manage that extra set of requirements and expectations. The other option that the board would have, if that's too much for the chamber without that extra money, is just to say, well, then let's just do it through 2.6 Digital. So just putting out options. And then the third thing was, I think Veronica also mentioned the part about asking that those 2.6 Digital sessions be available to the Trinity Chamber. And I may not have been clear in my wording in the document. I didn't really address it verbally. Is the expectation is that the Trinity Chamber would take the lead in organizing those, but that they would be available to anyone that wanted to participate. That way it's, yes, the Trinity Chamber who's getting the bulk of the money and has the plan, that the whole idea was these guys would help us implement that plan better. But that we also make sure that it's available to the public so that every organization could benefit from what these experts have to share about how to effectively market tourism. So that's just a little more rest of the story and addressing some of what I heard. So I guess we're at the point of, do we approve, is it the board's pleasure to approve as presented? Is there some amendment to a motion or different motion that adjusts that, if that does anything with the remaining funds? Or anything else that you've heard?
Yeah, I'd like the board to consider, I'm going to make a suggestion to amend my own motion, and that right now, this 5,500 says general fund dollars for one or more of many potential uses. And I'd like to get specific about that and allocate those dollars into our communications bank of money. So since it's an amendment to my motion, Supervisor Gogan, do you agree with that? Did you want to second the amendment to my motion? Okay.
Any further discussion on the amendment? What would that be?
You have further discussion?
Yes. No, I'll move back to the first one that you put forward.
Okay.
Okay. So the only thing I will say, what we have not done is had an opportunity to interact with the Trinity Chamber based on this recommendation and this expectation that they will do this extra work. So I think we just need to be aware that when if this is what the board decides, then we will have to work forward with them and see how that translates. And, you know, their quarterly plan I guess to address what Veronica was saying, could say that, okay, you gave us this much divided by 4 quarters. We're going to have to take 5% of that money each quarter and pay staff
Mhm.
to do the kind of work that we have to do because of what you've asked us and awarded us the opportunity to do.
Mhm.
So it's just I'm just trying to be sensitive to the fact that, yes, they all wanted the money.
Mhm.
Nobody raised their hand and said, and oh, by the way, let me host quarterly meetings, give you quarterly plans, quarterly reports, all that kind of stuff. That's that's an add-on that we've created
Mhm.
as part of trying to be more accountable and collaborative in how this money is invested.
And
Go ahead, go.
My question was gonna be with that type of work, is that enough? There's gonna be some staff time in there, 5,500 divided up by quarters. Is that enough to cover their? Should we ask them first before we jump into saying, hey, you guys are gonna do this?
well, so really the answer to that is that 26 Digital will do exactly that work for 20% of whatever the placements are that are recommended that be done. If the Weaverville Chamber is willing to step forward, I'm sorry, if the Trinity Chamber is willing to, my apologies, is willing to step forward and take on those pieces, anything that they would do that for that would be less than the 20% that we're paying 26 Digital is still a step ahead, right? More money gets spent on the product rather than the work. And so to be clear, that exact discussion did come up among the ad hoc. We're assuming that these people, these volunteers that work very, very hard, would want to do this extra work. But what we landed on was the board, based on past experiences, really does need clarity to just allocate the full funding and say, well, here you go. We hope for a great result. It just seems like it's fairer to everyone to step by step the process through rather than provide the lump sum, hope it all turns out. And in the end, if someone isn't feeling great about how that turned out, then we have to deal with that versus let's just be a little bit more proactive about it.
Fair enough. Yeah, that gives me clarity on that. Good to me.
Yeah, but further
I
comment?
just want to be clear from the board's perspective. What I'm believe we have as a motion is it's multiple things. It's taking the specific funding allocation recommendations and modifying it to take that unfunded or unallocated balance and put it towards the emergency communications.
That's one.
It is also initiating these new requirements for quarterly reporting meetings, so forth. And it is authorizing this ad hoc committee to continue to work with the groups and with specifically the Trinity Chamber in this quarterly process. And I would think then that it would be up to that ad hoc committee to work with the Trinity Chamber on, assuming that they can come to terms with how they would do it, what percent they might keep to help pay for the administration of what we're asking them to do, all that kind of stuff. But that could be decided by the ad hoc committee because they'd be empowered to do so. If we came to a point where it's just not going to work at all, then I think the ad hoc committee would have to come back to the board and bring it back. But this way the board can say, we agree with the approach, we agree with the concept, and we're empowering you to go do this work and come back to us if something significant needs to change.
That's my understanding.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's fine.
And Supervisor Cox's motion incorporates all of that.
It does.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarity.
Are we accomplished in our discussion?
Yes.
We'll
And I
call.
just want to make sure with staff that the wording in that truly does authorize our senior financial analyst to move forward with the payments. Do we have, I guess, counsel, I ask you if we need that worded any more clearly so that we don't have any hiccups in admin.
Well, I just want to confirm exactly how it's written as a motion. We've gone back and forth, but as a motion, that would be sufficient. I just want to make sure that you have it correctly. You have it good? Then yes, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
And I think if I'm hearing Supervisor Cox, one of the things that I think has been in the past is once the board said, here's the money, then those organizations still had to come back and submit some things to get the funding awarded. And I think what we're saying is, other than the Trinity Chamber, we feel like this money can just be awarded. And,
I am
correct?
saying that, and I'm also saying that as the quarterly payments move forward, because in the past, there has been this contract that's been set up, and then different delays, and different ones have to sign, and so forth. But with this motion, we are fully empowering the ad hoc that on the quarterly basis for the Trinity Chamber, once we have seen the product and seen the plan, and the ad hoc provides the okay, the money can just be paid out and can move forward.
And that's what I understood you as asking, and that is what I'm confirmed with. Yes,
Perfect.
you were ready to go.
You're okay with that, CO Tuthill?
Yes, but we will still need the administrative document to transfer. There will still need to be an agreement between the county and these organizations to transfer the money back and forth, or to transfer the money to those organizations. So.
Oh,
it
certainly. I'm not
won't
trying to
be-
skip contracts.
Right.
I'm trying to
just
make sure they
wanting to
don't
make
get
sure that
held
that's
up.
clear, that there's still going to be an administrative document that is created to track the amount that's expended from the county to the organizations that are identified in the spreadsheet online in this document.
Okay.
And maybe that's part of the ad hoc can help facilitate that process, because I think in the past, it's just been thrown in Susie's lap to now go trace everybody down and get all that in place, and maybe we can help with that process.
I wonder if, as one last action step in this, the ad hoc that was set up by Chair Gogan was to take care of making a recommendation. Now we have done that. I'm wondering if procedurally, does that ad hoc end and this chair needs to assign an ad hoc for these new tasks, because the job is now different?
So that would be a good question. If these were not encapsulated in the original creation of ad hoc, my recommendation is to create a new ad hoc. You are required to create them for limited duration and specific purpose. So if you have a new specific purpose, that would be time to re-up it or to reorganize it.
Which we're going to be doing committee assignments here soon, so we can.
We can take care of it then.
Okay.
Call for the vote, please.
Supervisor Gogan?
Aye.
Supervisor Cox?
Aye.
Supervisor Lutwiler?
Aye.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris?
Aye.
Last comment?
Supervisor Lutwiler is recognized for one last comment.
I just wanted to thank the committee members. I think Supervisor Cox and I both felt that having the participation of Drew and Terry was a huge lift to it. It really added value to the process, and we appreciated the time that they put into it and the contributions they made also in helping us reach a decision. And then even though she wasn't officially part of the committee, Mary Rist was dragged into it on occasion and was great at herding cats, and we wouldn't have been able to get it done without her support. Thank you.
We will close that item completely. We'll now open item F2, the Board of Supervisors. Appoint supervisors to represent the county on various boards, commissions, and committees and task forces for the 2026 year. As lead up to this process, I would like to just let the public know that I contacted individual board members and had brief discussions with them on the committees that they sit on, and if they had asked for any changes or if anything was a concern or if they had any interest, and we will move forward in those assignments, and each board member will have the opportunity to concur their appointment or ask for a change, and there will be some changes, I believe. So shall we start with the Airport Advisory Committee? Currently, we have as our primary Supervisor Cox, and our alternative person is Supervisor Rick Lutwiler. Are both of you willing to remain as those appointees, or does anyone else wish to?
I'm fine with that.
I'm good.
Okay, so our Airport Advisory Committee will remain Supervisor Jill Cox as the primary and alternative as Rick Lutwiler. On our Behavioral Health Advisory Board, we currently have as our primary Rick Lutwiler, and our alternate person is Supervisor Brownfield. Do both of you wish to remain on that committee at this time? Sure.
Yes.
Our California State Association of Counties, also known as CSAC, the primary appointee is Supervisor Lutweiler. The alternative appointee is myself, Heidi Carpenter Harris. I will submit and suggest that Supervisor Brownfield be placed as an alternative on that so that she will have the opportunity to learn procedures and learn from Supervisor Lutweiler as his term ends at the end of this current year. Is there any comment or Supervisor Brownfield, is that of interest to you?
That's just fine, thank you.
Rick, do you
Yes, fine.
remain
Mhm.
lead?
Sure, please.
Is everyone's fine with that change? Child Abuse Prevention Council, the CAPC, our primary is Supervisor Lutweiler, and all alternate person for that is Supervisor Gogan. Do both of you wish to remain on the Child Abuse Prevention Council at this time?
Yes.
Child Care and Development Planning Council. The primary lead for that is Supervisor Gogan, and I am the alternative person for that. Supervisor Gogan, do you wish to remain on that?
Do.
I will remain. Children and Families First Commission, first 5. Primary is Jill Cox, secondary is Supervisor Julia Brownfield. Do both of you wish to remain on that?
Yes.
Calusa Glen Trinity Community Action Partnership. I am the primary and I wish to remain as primary. Secondary is Supervisor Julia Brownfield. Do you wish to remain on that? Sure. Disaster Council. Our current appointees to that board are, the lead is Supervisor Gogan, and I am the secondary for that. Supervisor Gogan, do you wish to remain on the Disaster Council?
I think that council there has to be the board chair and the vice chair
Correct.
as lead and vice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way it historically has been.
Okay, so I will become the chair representative, and Supervisor Brownfield will become the board vice chair.
Supervisor, I'm sorry, Chair Carpenter Harris, could I back you up and ask if on the Calusa Glen Trinity Community Action, there's a primary, a secondary,
Oh, and an alternate.
that are voters, and then we have a space for an alternate. Do you wish?
Supervisor Lutweiler, did you serve as alternate on that before last year?
On which one?
The Calusa Glen, I don't recall.
Not that I'm aware.
It's completely
One.
vacant. Okay,
Mhm.
so that board, I do know that 2 of us must be there.
Mhm.
So it is important to have an alternate. Do we have anyone showing interest in the Calusa Glen Trinity Community Action Partnership who would like to serve as the alternative? The meetings are in different locations around those 3 counties throughout the year. I think it's every 3 months, I feel. It's every 3 months, it's quarterly.
Okay.
Would anyone like to become the alternative person?
I'm willing if no one else is.
Okay. Let it be noted that we have placed Supervisor Cox as the alternative for the Calusa Glen Trinity Community Action Partnership. Moving on to Emergency Medical Services Advisory Committee, that will move to myself as chair and Supervisor Brownfield as vice chair. Do you recognize that, Supervisor Brownfield?
Yes.
Environmental Services, RCRC Subcommittee. Supervisor Cox is our primary, and alternate is, did you say Diane Ryder? And will those remain from the staff perspective? Okay, Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Fire Safe Council. Our primary representative there is Supervisor Jill Cox, and our alternative person is Julia Brownfield, or Supervisor Brownfield. Is that appropriate to remain in those seats?
Yes.
Forest County Schools Coalition, Secure Rural Schools. I myself am the primary, and the alternate person for that is Rick Lutweiler. I wish to remain in that seat.
Happy to do so.
Happy to do so.
Chair, could I circle back? On my sheet, we have missed Emergency Medical Services Advisory Committee. Is that no longer in existence?
Emergency Medical Service Advisory Committee?
Yes.
It's the chair and.
I'm sorry, when you said that, it was exactly the same as the one before, and
Yeah.
I thought we were there. I
Yep, I
apologize.
did that too.
Thank you.
We're good? Everyone's in alignment? Golden State Finance Council on RCRC. Our primary is Supervisor Cox and secondary is Supervisor Liam Gogan.
Good with that? Bill?
Supervisor Cox,
Yes,
you got it? Are we not going anything?
we're great. I'm just a little slow.
Okay.
Great.
Health Systems Collaborative. Our primary is Supervisor Brownfield and our secondary is Supervisor Cox.
Yes.
Yes.
On that Health Systems Collaborative, I'm wondering if Supervisor Gogan would enjoy the alternate spot from the standpoint that this deals with some of the other committee assignments that he does own. If that's of interest to you, I open that up.
It might pair well with.
Once every other month.
Once every other month. It might go well with your.
Bill, you okay with giving up the alternate?
Yes, I'm offering that. Mhm.
Okay, so we will let it be recorded that the alternate is now Liam Gogan. The Highway 36 Committee. Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I'm just seeking clarity for the record's sake for the Golden State Finance Council, and then we have Golden State Finance Authority. I just want to make sure that we, if
Oh,
I
I'm
can seek
sorry.
clarification on
I
those
missed
two.
that. Thank you for
Yes,
point
ma'am.
of clarification.
Yes, Supervisor
Golden
Chairman.
State Finance Council, our primary is Supervisor Cox and the secondary is Supervisor Gogan. Will that remain?
So I think there's a mistake on here, and I think that's where my head was getting spinned out. So there are, RCRC is the main body, and the JPAs that have been formed under that, or nonprofits, however they're set up, is Golden State Connect Authority and Golden State Finance Authority. And so when this says Golden State Finance Council plus a Golden State Finance Authority, those are not two different things.
Oh,
I
okay.
think one should say Golden State Connect Authority. Probably the first one for alphabetical sake, and then your Golden State Finance Authority is correct, but there is no Golden State Finance Council to my knowledge.
Are we allowed to amend that title as we, okay, so that needs to read Golden State
Connect
Authority.
Correct.
And on that body will remain Supervisor Cox as the primary and the alternate will be Supervisor Gogan.
Correct. Because that is like how it says RCRC Subcommittee after the following one. It could say that after the previous one also. Those have to be the same individuals.
Okay. Okay, thank you for
Mhm.
clarification.
Yeah.
We will now move to, have you properly recorded that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. We will now move to Highway 36 Committee. Currently, as appropriate, Supervisor Julia Brownfield sits on that.
Yes, that's just fine.
Highway 299 Committee is currently served by myself, Heidi Carpenter Harris, and alternative is Supervisor Gogan. Fine. Housing Rehabilitation and Business Loan Committee meets as needed. The primary on that is Supervisor Cox and the secondary is Supervisor Gogan.
Mhm.
Those are to remain.
Yes.
Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO. The appointees at this moment are Supervisor Brownfield, Supervisor Carpenter Harris, Supervisor Cox, and the alternative person is Supervisor Liam Gogan. I would like to move that Supervisor Gogan move in as the primary person.
As the primary?
As a primary, and I will place myself as an alternative.
So the only reason I disagree with that in a way is because of the troubles that the Post Mountain Fire Utility District is going through, and that is some of your district.
It is, and my thoughts in that action are in the event that the Post Mountain and Supervisor Brownfield, please speak into this as you see fit.
Okay.
In the event that the PUD situation in Post Mountain, doesn't come to total fruition, it looks, based off of LAFCO meetings, that it will be absorbed by Hayfork. And so my thoughts were that as a, just to have you be fully aware of those conversations by being there, and then also in the event that that happens, your voice in that would be, would just be necessary. I'm fine with staying as a primary.
That they can't hear you.
I enjoy that service, but I as looking forward, knowing that my term sunsets at the end of this year and yours continues. If you're open to it, kind of gaining some footing in that conversation would probably be helpful.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So there's two primaries
I
there.
just don't know if it overlaps with something else, but
They're on the Tuesdays, they're right after board meetings generally on Tuesday. But I'm the alternate. I'll remain the alternate. So like
Yeah.
for some reason you can't go because of then I can move in to that spot.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Let the record show that Supervisor Gogan is now going to become the primary, and Supervisor Carpenter Harris will become the alternate unless Supervisor Lutweiler.
I'm happy to do whichever you want.
No, that's fine. I'll remain the alternate person. Alternate. Say for some reason. The National Association of Counties, which is NACO. I am currently the primary. I would like to remain the primary. I am making a suggestion that the alternate become Supervisor Cox, if that is something Supervisor Lutweiler would consider and Supervisor Cox would consider. The reason behind my thoughts in that is both Supervisor Lutweiler and myself will not be here at the end of this year, and it would be an opportunity for me to bring Supervisor Cox up to scale on the larger projects that I've been working on in NACO, so that she can function in that if need be, or pass that information on to the new board in the future. Would you consider?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Jill, would it be a burden on you to be NACO and RCRC 2027?
It is an added responsibility. I will let Chair Carpenter Harris speak into that conversation and let me know if you think that's doable and wise.
The reason that I would like to encourage Supervisor Cox to take on this is due to her extensive work with the name just left me.
Oh, Supervisor Berkey.
With Supervisor Berkey, but then also with the roads, what is the agreement called?
Oh, the Good Neighbor.
The Good
Mhm.
Neighbor Authority. And then because of those two things, and then my hope to bring forward through the Public Lands Caucus, the extension of our ability to perhaps capture funds after long-term negative impacts on our roads. The relationship exists with our Forest Service with her already, and I feel like it would be an easy mold into that specific project. And then next year, if it is something that is too much, then that can be passed on to one of the new board members. But there will be that ability for her to communicate what was done to the next person, since Supervisor Lutweiler and I will not be here.
And as primary on one and secondary on the other, I think it's shouldn't be too great. It's not an expectation of being at each meeting. It's probably being at one meeting for a transition, which is something similarly I think we should end up planning for CSAC, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end
in the
we
future.
can have that discussion. Okay. All right, so let the record show that Supervisor Cox has now become the secondary for NACO. The Natural Resource Collaborative Formation Group, which is the Trinity County Collaborative, Supervisor Cox is the primary and I am the alternate. Are you good with remaining on that?
Yes.
As am I. NorCal EMS meets the second Thursday of every other month beginning in January. The primary currently is Supervisor Cox and the alternate is Supervisor Brownfield. Are you both okay with remaining on that?
Yes.
Northern Rural Training and Employment Consortium, also known as NORTEC. The primary representative on that is Supervisor Lutweiler, and the alternate person is Supervisor Brownfield. Are both of you comfortable?
Yes.
Might I suggest that anytime the person that is the alternate is going to move into the primary because of my absence and Supervisor Lutweiler's absence, that we begin to engage on a greater level about those meetings, and if they are Zoom or a situation where there's not travel, to start really trying to attend those as much as possible so that information can be readily transferred as time moves forward. The North Coast Air Quality Management District meeting meets in Eureka and Fortuna the third Thursday of every other month. I am currently the primary and Supervisor Brownfield is the secondary. I will remain in that position as it's easiest for me really to get to to Eureka and Fortuna than the rest of you. So I will continue to do that. However, what I may do is give you notice when there is going to be a meeting, and if you have a town day that you could make out of that, then it might be good for you to come every now and then if you have, you know, chores that you could do on that day.
Great.
North Coast Resource Partnership. I'm in primary, Supervisor Gogan is secondary, and Supervisor Lutweiler is alternative. I would like to remain in that position. I know that Supervisor Gogan has requested to do the same. You want to remain as the alternate?
Sure.
Is the ad hoc, the cannabis cleanup ad hoc on here?
No, that's governed through the North Coast Resource Partnership. We'll probably pick that up at the first meeting of the year with them. I do want to mention that I do believe there will be a meeting of this organization in our county, and I would encourage all board members that can to come and learn what that organization does. The North State Planning and Development Collective, our primary is Supervisor Lutweiler, and there is no secondary listed. I don't believe we need one. Are you?
I'm fine. There's never been a meeting, so
Never been a meeting.
happy to participate whenever needed.
Double up on that one.
Available if necessary. Northwest California Resource Conservation and Development District. I am the primary on that, and there are two alternatives, Supervisor Gogan and Supervisor Lutweiler.
I'm fine.
Yes.
Okay. Partnership in Action for Trinity Health, which is PATH. Primary is Supervisor Gogan, and alternative is Julie Brownfield. Are you both?
I'm fine.
PSA 2, Area Agency on Aging Executive Board, meets quarterly in Bernie. Our primary is Supervisor Cox, and our alternative is Supervisor Weiler. Comfortable?
Yes.
Onward. Rural County's Representative of California also sits on the Golden State Financial Authority, meets third Wednesday of every month, and meets the third Wednesday of every other month. Our primary is Supervisor Cox, and our alternative person is Supervisor Gogan. Are you both willing to remain?
Fine.
Remote Access Network Board. Appointees currently are Supervisor, was Supervisor Liam Gogan, and the board vice chair is Julia Brownfield, which I think that might have been a mistake. So now it will be myself and Supervisor Brownfield as vice chair.
Okay.
That sounds fine.
Sierra Nevada Conservancy, Rick, Supervisor Lutweiler is our primary person, and I believe you serve.
You have to
Are
be.
you serving as the?
I'm the vice chair of that organization
Yes.
now, and the only one on the board who can be appointed to this because our District 1 is the only one that has land covered by the Conservancy.
Okay, so you will remain in that seat.
And they are having a presentation soon, Rick?
We're working on that in conjunction with another organization.
Social Services Transportation Advisory Council. We will have appointees will be Chairman Carpenter Harris. And Vice Chair Brownfields.
Fine.
Solid Waste Hearing Panel. Currently, our appointee is Supervisor Brownfield.
Yes.
Superior California Economic Development District. We all have a primary seated as Supervisor Hutweiler and myself as the alternate. Fine with you?
Is there a concern on that, beings that both of you will be gone in a year?
Probably, yes. Let's revisit that.
I'm happy to hand off though if somebody else wants to step in.
I think you should stay.
I think you
because you
should.
have the
Good.
background and the alternative should change.
Okay.
Is there anyone on the board who takes interest in this?
I'll do it just for education. It's a good learning curve for me. If nobody else wants it.
Well, and these are meetings generally held in Reading. And so even though we normally don't send two people to things like NACO and CSAC and all of that, this is just drive down there and back. So if you wanted to participate in any of those board meetings, I don't think there would be a problem.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Tourism Development Advisory. Currently, the primary on this is Supervisor Gogan and the alternate is Supervisor Lutweiler. Do you want those appointees to stay the same or do you, because of your work, become the primary or what?
I'm happy to take the primary role. I've been leading that and planning to bring it back alive here now for the new year.
So we'll just switching those?
Yes.
Gogan, is that appropriate? You make note of it, just a switch there. Trinity Fire Chiefs Association. Our primary voice at the table there is Supervisor Joe Cox, and the secondary is Supervisor Lutweiler.
Fine.
I'm good.
Trinity County Fish and Game Advisory Commission, myself and Supervisor Gogan.
So should we have a discussion about that?
We can. They don't meet. It's a strange to track.
One more time?
The meetings are strange to track.
Yeah, so the meetings are, I forget, they're once a month, once every other month, 7:00 on a Thursday. And when I first became the primary on that, I guess 2 years ago, we probably had 6 or 7 people on the council. Myself, several folks from TRRP, and I think one other person. And since then, TRRP and the other person, I think it was from the UROC, all had to lose themselves because of some of the situations that came up on there. And it was very, very hard. First of all, nobody came to any of the meetings besides the people that were on the board. And we had two kind of problems there, getting people to fill the empty slots. And it takes a secretary to attend every meeting, open up, get the Zoom going. And I think it just in the year or so that it was running for myself, and Charlie Holdhouse was the president at the time, we just couldn't keep a secretary. It was just not enough paid, too much work. And it was very, very difficult to keep alive. Not that I wouldn't want to try to, get it going again, but honestly, in my opinion, it didn't have much teeth. There wasn't much to it. But they do collect money from fish and game violations, and they do donate out to various kids' fishing derbies, which I think we continued this year. although we didn't have the commission in, we'll say, standing. And Trent, is there anything else to add to that, good with that?
I think it would probably be wise for us to just stay in place, and then as things change, we can, if we don't feel like it's something that we need to participate in, then maybe we can pull this, but for now, just stay where we are until things.
Yeah, as long as we say it's in place and we continue to get our percentage of the fish and game violation dollars to help fund the fishing derbies, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
Generally, it was 6 people sitting around the table talking to each other at 7 o'clock at night, every other month.
Well, maybe if there's candy. Food,
all
food
good
always
people.
drives people.
All good folks, but it just didn't hold up.
Okay, well, maybe we can be new life into that. All right, so you and I can stay on that and we'll move forward. Trinity Management Council, primary is Supervisor Gogan. I am the alternative. I am going to look towards CIO Tuthill for the recommendation of the alternate person becoming a member of Trinity County staff. Can you please express why you feel that's?
I support that. I would recommend that Patrick Flynn become the alternate. He is on our staff. He works with the TRP office approximately 3/4 of his time already and is very familiar with the ins and outs of the program and is also very aware of the county priorities and represents the county well and can work well with the primary to make sure we always have attendance at those, because we do have a voting slot on the TMC, and we want to continue that and keep that place at the table as we go about this year. Should be some program review of some documents and some potential actions that we want to be very well aware of.
Did we get that approved? I think there was one meeting myself and Heidi couldn't attend and Patrick did attend. So the bylaws for TMC do not make it be that you have to be a board of supervisor. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we are the only organization that actually appoints an elected official to it. None of the other 7 organizations appoint an elected official. They're all staff
I think Patrick's
members.
a great choice.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll now move on to, so does the board confirm that it's appropriate to appoint Patrick Flynn as an alternate for our Trinity Management Council in the place of myself?
Yes.
Fine.
Supervisor Brownfield?
Mhm,
You're fine with that?
absolutely.
Okay. Let the record show that we all agreed on that, please. Trinity Opioid Safety Coalition, our primary supervisor is Liam Gogan, and the secondary is Supervisor Cox.
I'm good.
I would suggest for consideration that perhaps Supervisor Brownfield would like that alternate spot. I haven't been tracking fully, but she does have a few sort of health and safety related assignments where this might be a nice fit. I'm not trying to pass it off to you, but I am opening it to you if that's an opportunity that you would like.
Sure. Okay, be happy to.
We will now switch the alternate person to being Supervisor Brownfield on the Trinity Opioid Safety Coalition. Weaverville Community Forest, our primary is represented by Supervisor Cox, and the alternate person is myself, Supervisor Carpenter Harris. I would like to remain in that position, Supervisor Cox.
That's what I.
All committees have been assigned and concurred by the board. I would like to make a single statement quickly about this. As I believe Supervisor Weiler mentioned earlier, because of budget reasons, only the primary person gets to attend some of these larger meetings that are out of state. And well, CSAC is of course in the state, RCRC is in the state, but it does have travel that goes down to Sacramento or other locations within the state. NACO is all around different places. I would like to consider having a conversation in the future, having the alternate person, the secondary person, have the opportunity to at least attend in person the annual meeting of these larger, of CSAC, RCRC, and NACO, if that's something that we can figure out how to do. I just think that I know it's a cost and it may not always be able to happen, but it would just be, especially in scenarios where the supervisor is going to be stepping away from the board due to their term sunsetting. So that's something I would just like to ask the board to begin to think on and consider, and perhaps we can work with CAO and look at the budget and then bring it before the board as an agenda item for consideration.
How did we do budget-wise last year, combined as a board? Some of us way over, under, or we all over? Travel expense-wise.
Last fiscal year, everybody was, well, collectively, we were over. We were only halfway through this fiscal year right now.
So we have to hold that conversation, if you will, and maybe we can bring it forward, or
You want that to be brought forward again, we can certainly agendize
Yes.
that and have that discussion.
okay, we can do some prep work and check into things, and then maybe it can be brought forward as a board item to discuss on the agenda to consider that. So at this time, we will close the
Does that serve as our question and presentation of this matter, and then we still do public comment and then we
Yeah.
vote on it? Is that how this works? I don't
Correct.
remember.
That's
Okay,
the
I'm sorry.
presentation, yes.
I couldn't remember.
okay.
Yes.
Once a year.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
It's
Getting
my
through
first
it.
day. At this time, we will take this out of presentation and allow for public comment on the committee assignments. Any public comment in the room?
Lisa Wright, Lewiston Chair Supervisors. I know I can be confrontational sometimes with you, but it's all in good spirit and intent. And I want to thank you for serving on all these various committees. I think that's a really important part of extension of what you do. So thank you for that.
Any further in the room? Any online?
Ben Kellogg.
I would like to echo the sentiments. We all appreciate what you do. Sometimes things get heated, but we all want to work together to make a better Trinity County. Thank you.
Any further comment online?
I show no other raised hands.
Okay, we'll close public comment, bring back to the board for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second that. Oh, go ahead.
Supervisor Brownfield was initial and then Supervisor Cox secondary. Okay, any board discussion or questions on the item?
No, just amen to that.
Okay, good work.
I just want to double check clarity on that vote.
I made the motion.
Got it. And then we're going Brownfield.
Correct.
Okay. Supervisor Brownfield,
Aye.
Supervisor Cox,
Aye.
Supervisor Lutwiler,
Aye.
Supervisor Gogan,
Aye.
Supervisor Carpenter Harris.
Aye. As we will now close our public meeting, but first I'll read into the record, the closed session. Item G1, Clerk of the Board, Government Code Section 54954.5C, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipation Litigation, number of cases 1. Do I do public comment on both of these or one at a time?
No, you read them both and then you do public comment on
Okay,
both.
thank you for that clarification. Item number G2, Government Code Section 54954.5, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, number of cases 1, Estate of John Swain et al. Versus Trinity County et al. Case number 225 CVO 00469-DMC. I will now take public comment on the items that will be heard in closed session.
Chair Supervisors Lisa Wright, Lewiston. I'm speaking before the board enters closed session on item G1 regarding anticipated litigation to address agenda sufficiency and the statutory limits of that authority under the Brown Act. Closed sessions for anticipated litigation are authorized only under Government Code Section 54956.9. Your agenda cites this as 54954.5, subsection C, and that only governs the placement or labeling on the agenda. 54956.9 is the authority for anticipated litigation, and it also requires that you list the applicable subsection. Because anticipated litigation authority excludes the public from discussion, the Brown Act requires the agenda provide enough information for the public to understand the legal basis for that exclusion. This includes identifying that statutory authority, applicable subdivision, once again, of 54956.9, and the number of potential cases. This is not a technical requirement, it is a transparency requirement. The public does not need legal detail, but does need to know why the board believes a closed session is permitted. I want to note for the record that governance and compliance matters do not automatically qualify as anticipated litigation. Cure and correct demands under the Brown Act are statutory compliance tools designed to avoid litigation, not initiate it. Likewise, public records requests and disputes are administrative in nature. So these are some examples of what should not be going into closed session. General criticism, disagreement, or requests for correction do not by themselves constitute litigation or significant exposure under Section 54956.9. The Attorney General has been clear. They have a great open government office that I recommend that you all take a look at that will help with some of the guidance on these matters. They've been clear that anticipated litigation authority must be based on specific facts, showing a realistic and substantial risk of litigation, not a generalized concern or the existence of public dissent. I'm not asking the board to disclose privileged information or discuss legal strategy in open session. I'm simply asking that the scope of any anticipated litigation closed session be limited to what the statute allows, and that the agenda and any report out reflects that statutory basis with clarity. Maintaining these boundaries protects the public's right to observe government decision-making, and it also protects the board by ensuring closed session authority is exercised lawfully and defensible. So improper agendizing could actually lead to disqualification of decisions that are made in that closed session, as well as some of the confidentiality provisions, because it hasn't been properly agendized. So I would urge you to delay on the improperly agendized G1 until it can be properly agendized to include 54956.9 and its applicable subsections. Thank you.
Any further public comment?
I show no raised hands.
Okay, thank you.
Since we reported out after the last closed session, do we still do it here?
We are going to still do it here, yes.
Okay.
And I emailed.
It hasn't come in.
Okay, if you would like, I can read it or
Would
report it
you,
out.
would council please read the report out from last closed session? Thank you.
Board met in closed session on December 16th. Closed session G1, Government Code Section 54954.5E, Public Employee Appointment, Position County Administrative Officer, and direction was given to staff to open recruitment for the position of CAO through a nationwide recruitment.
Thank you. I will now close the public meeting of the Trinity County Board of Supervisors and enter into our closed session. Thank you.